What up, 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 world? On a Friday, Mike D, Coop, A2HH Live. We're going to have some fun today, man. How you doing today, Coop?
Doing well. How are you, man? You doing good?
I'm doing great, doing great. It's got a little extra cold outside or whatnot, but,
Yeah.
I'm managing, So,
Yeah, we all are. Hit us with a little 38, 39 degree weather today, I think, something like that.
yeah, it's to be expected. It is January. So,
Yeah, it's kind of funny now, seeing how, climate change is very much real. And we can see it in the fact that when it gets cold in January, now we're officially like surprised. Like, oh, yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to put like like winter clothes on in January, maybe like, for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days before it gets, unreasonably warm because climate change is real.
shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I know people are coming in. It is Friday the 13th. I didn't really realize that. Appreciate that. Appreciate you for putting that out there. I mean, some movies coming on tonight. We got some scary movies
I
coming
don't
on
know.
tonight.
Everybody should be afraid of me. You know what I mean?
Yo,
I'm in
man,
everybody's Twitter nightmares and
there's a lot of
dreams.
lists coming out there. We're gonna get to these lists and some predictions, and we're gonna continue to fine tune our, in my personal opinion, better lists. But hey, whatever. Because I feel like when you start off with Jadakiss and Redman in the '40s, it's kind of going downhill from there. Um,
I
shout,
know you like my style. You
shout
like
out to
how I
Sky
break
Zoo too,
it
man. Sky
down.
Zoo dropped the album today, and we're gonna talk more about the Mind of the Saint by Sky Zoo a little bit either later in the show or probably Wednesday, so we can spend some real time on it. But as for now, I think that I'm not just saying this being funny or anything. Sounds like album of the year so far to me right now, and I think that it's going to be one of those albums that's going to kind of hold that place for a second. I don't foresee
Oh, it's like
anything.
that for you.
Yeah, I don't foresee anything coming. It's gonna take. Look, you know how we felt when we heard all the beautiful things. Like,
Hmm.
that's not an easy album to knock off. You know, a top of the road list. You got to really come with it, and I don't really see anything right now that is in the radar that is going to be, possibly taking it out. I know I just froze. I'm gonna fix it.
Yeah, that's cool. Didn't where did we have that rank? Did we have where did we have it ranked? Fifth or fourth?
It was somewhere around there. It was like fourth or fifth, something like that.
Yeah,
I
it was pretty
thought,
high.
yeah, I thought Sky really came with it, man. Sky Zoo be killing it, and he just opened up a business out here in the Metro Atlanta area. So shout out to him, recording music and handling business and being in the community at the same time. Mad Max with the super chat says, seeing E40 over Redman and Jada lets me know there is NY and East Coast hate based off of the East Coast narrative. Respectfully, E40, come on, bro. Ooh, we're gonna get to all of that. We're gonna get to all of that. Jay Wow with the super chat
What say
says,
you, Mike?
y'all heard the Black Thoughts dropping in April. Yes, we heard that. Looking forward to it. That's coming. I froze again. Am I frozen on your end too, Coop?
When you say frozen, I mean usually when you freeze out, I can't see you. I can see you again now. But
Okay. Yeah.
is
We work
Danger
out
is,
these
is Danger
technical
Mouse
issues.
handling the production again?
That is the question. That's a good question. I don't know, man. It seems like Black Thought has been over the past, I guess, couple of years since he's been doing solo efforts. He's been out here kind of fishing for that producer, and I feel like him and Danger Mouse have it. I mean, they got that chemistry. I think they need to continuously build on to that. I promise once this camera gets fixed, it's gonna totally, work for the duration of the show. It always does this. I think I need to go get it checked out. But yeah, I think that him and Danger Mouse are probably the best pairing. Would you say?
Of the producers that he's worked with thus far, he and Danger Mouse definitely have done the best work. I mean, the highs, like I said, were very, very high, as in No Gold Teeth, Aquamarine,
Mm-hmm.
Strangers. I think the darkest part with Raekwon. Um, what's the joint with Doom?
I know what you're talking about. Obama put it on his playlist too.
Belize.
Belize, yeah.
Yeah, Belize, like no. There's enough stellar moments in there that really warrant a re-up of that. Yeah.
I agree. I agree, and I think that you pointed this out when we were talking about the album. Like, this can be like what Hit Boy and Nas had bubbling with the first KD. I mean, I think that
Mm-hmm.
the second time around, what Danger Mouse and Black Thought put together could be even better. Hassan Sykes with the super chat says, can great songs on a bad album elevate an album?" All the time, all the time.
Yeah.
Mad Max with the super chat says, "Now people rewriting history. 40 never had a song like Why He Never Was an Archetype for the new model of MCs like Redman, who was the first Busta, Eminem, Luda, Hobson, etc. The list about to be a joke." I think that is a great assessment. I think that one thing that not we, that they are discounting Redman for is the fact that Redman created a whole lane in a similar way that Tribe created a whole lane. You know what I mean? That whole rah rah. I mean, niggas who was coming out in '92 or around that era, they were rhyming like Redman. I remember Andre 3000 saying when he came out, he was rapping like Redman. And probably before we heard him, but I think the context of the conversation was, it was a rapper at the time. I forgot his name. Damn, y'all know probably in the chat. He made I don't forgot the name of the song too. God's Whisper. Anyway, they were asking him about, artists sounding like him and yada yada. And Dre was like, everybody sounds like somebody when they, what I'm saying, first start rhyming because they haven't gotten
Right.
their style yet. And he said, when I came out, I was rhyming like Redman. And
Well,
we can
it's
clearly
funny.
hear the Redman influence in Eminem, and I think for them to discount Redman in that sense, and Ludacris as well, it is a bit of a rewrite of history in a sense.
Well, it's funny that Andre is bringing up, rhyming like Redman, and I believe Busta Rhymes is 3000's favorite MC, or at least he used to be growing up. So
Yeah, it's one of them.
he's a big fan of that entertaining rah rah rah.
Yep. And that's all Redman. Hassan Sykes with the super chat says, what y'all's take on Coast Contra? People love Coast Contra. We love Coast Contra too. I think we need to set up an interview with Coast Contra or something because
I would love that.
yeah, I think that'd be dope. But yeah, we think they're dope. Mad
Also,
Max,
too,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I
No,
was just
go
gonna
ahead.
say, Matt Max says, bet you Billboard's top 5 will have Andre K. Lauren because they're gonna push the female agenda, then throw Hove, Big, or Rakim to make it look good. I would like to predict what the top 5 would be as well. I think that's a good prediction. Go ahead, Coop.
Also, let's keep in mind Redman did say, fuck Billboard, I'm a bullet on my block.
Wow.
They're very well aware of this.
Well, you know what? I know we keep saying Billboard because Billboard's posting it, but Vibe seems to be intertwined in this too. So,
well, that's very problematic. Isn't that where all those
Exactly.
It Was Written problems started? Didn't those It Was Written problems start with Vibe?
It is. So that's why I mentioned that. So yeah, we're not gonna absolve 5 of this smoke either. What I would like to propose, maybe the people in the chat might agree, disagree, whatever. I propose that those people who put together that list, they come on this show, or let's just say a neutral grounds, and debate that list against our list. Because I don't know what the people at Billboard / Vibe talk to you guys about their list before they put this out.
I mean, I would welcome that, but the only thing I think we got from the last challenge I issued was Wayno popping up in the comments with a bunch of like laugh emojis. We still waiting to hear back from your ass too.
I mean,
That's
honestly,
another conversation for another day.
It sounds like the laugh emojis, the way I take it, means we can't debate with you guys. Ha ha ha. Our bosses won't let us do that. Ha
Oh, is
ha
that what
ha.
that means? I think that means kind of like in an arrogant kind of like we're beneath that kind of way. You guys are funny. Nobody takes you guys seriously type of thing. But I'm inherently competitive like that too. I take all the fuck yous as big fuck yous.
36 Chambers with the super chat says Redman is generally considered to be one of your favorite rappers' favorite rappers. We need to be giving more credit to artists that are looked at as legendary by their own contemporaries more often. Speaking of which, and I think one of the big people who gives Redman the most respect will be Eminem. And I predict that Eminem's probably going to crank the top 5, if not the top 3 on this Billboard list. So it's going to be interesting to hear how the guy that you have at number 3 in his prime put Redman at number 1 in his top 10, and you have him at 42. So,
well, I don't know if that's really like the barometer, but this is
it's never the barometer, but it's interesting.
No, it is. It makes for good fodder and good conversation and discourse. Like, I understand what you're saying. I think the thing becomes too. It's one of those like comfort things, like with the Kanye thing that we were talking about and placing him with the MCs. It's like, well, if that list reads like Jay-Z, Tupac, Eminem, I'm gonna be like, ugh. For a variety of reasons, but mostly him at 3.
You know
because
what?
It's like it doesn't add up. Like you can't tell me. Like, even, you know how people be like, it's not calculus? Well, let's say that it is calculus, and you give me a formula, and I put that formula in, and that formula creates an answer, and you tell me that I have to put that answer in a derivative to put it in an answer, which means you literally have to flip it and spin it again in order to get the correct answer, even if you were to flip it and spin it. You feel me? Even if it was calculus.
Hassan Sykes has a $20 super chat. We really appreciate the love. And he has something that I kind of want to expound upon based on our previous conversation the other day. He says, I recall you guys saying that Ye killed gangster rap. However, if you check the stats, Young Money actually killed it in 2010. Then they have 3 artists in the top 5 list in terms of sales. Okay. Well, this is my thing. And I think there was a couple of things that I saw that, man, y'all were really giving it to me about last episode, and I just wanted to be fair for an artist of the magnitude of Kanye West that's had his hands pretty much everywhere on hip-hop over the past 20-some-odd years and give it a real discussion, right? But one of the things that I saw was somebody saying, I guess they were laughing at when I said that Kanye opened the doors for Wayne. Now, obviously, Wayne, the Hot Boy, was around 97. And, if we check the Wikipedias and stuff, clearly Wayne was around before Kanye even came around. But living that experience, Kanye West was the big rapper at that point while Wayne was kind of bubbling on the underground. I remember seeing Wayne out here in Atlanta at a Hole in the Wall club on the east side when the Carter 2 was out. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to catch nobody like Kanye West or 50 Cent in that era in these spots. Wayne was still kind of bubbling. Now, Wayne getting on Graduation was a big deal for Wayne. And when you look at the Carter 3, who's all over that? Kanye West is all over that. That was a big deal at the time that Kanye was actually extending his hand to work with Wayne at that point. That was Wayne's introduction to mainstream superstardom, because I remember even when the Carter 2 was out, and MTV was interviewing 50 Cent. We're going to talk about him later on, too. Love 50. He was like, he said, y'all say Wayne's the hottest MC in the game, but what was the first single of his last album? That was the narrative. He was a mixtape guy. And the guys who were the really big dogs out here, it was Kanye and 50 at the time. Jay was retired, right? On a mainstream level. T.I. was doing his thing, too. And at that time, on a mainstream level, T.I. was bigger than Wayne. But Kanye's involvement in the Carter 3 was a big deal. Wayne being the only rap appearance on an album that sold 1 million in a week with Graduation was a big deal. So obviously, not saying that Kanye had anything to do with Wayne signing the Cash Money, but obviously he had a lot to do with Wayne breaking into the mainstream in the way that he did, and other people outside of just us hip-hop heads knowing what Wayne was doing on the mixtape circuit. You know what I mean?
I think it was one of those things. You see, here's what happened to Wayne. That's like very, very rare that he crawled back out of, and Kanye and Graduation do have something to do with that. Well, it's not like people didn't know who Wayne was. He
Yeah.
did. He literally is the voice of Bling Bling, and the most popular part of Back That Ass Up. Those albums and those songs, multi platinum.
And
So,
classics. Yeah.
so millions of people know who Wayne is. But one of those things about music is that when you apex, even if you apex within a group, the public doesn't allow you to apex again. And so what Graduation really did for Wayne was allowed him to apex again.
Yeah. And he actually was able to recreate himself.
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
he was able to apex again. But the people have to give you a chance and do that. And Wayne was young enough and dope enough and was making the dope enough records that it's like, oh no, this is grown up Wayne, the solo artist. Like, he's a star.
The only
Like,
thing
oh,
the only
I didn't
thing,
know.
Yeah,
My bad.
the only thing I can correlate it to off the top of my head, and again, I'm not comparing Wayne to Michael Jackson, but how a lot of people feel like Off the Wall is Michael Jackson's first album. It's his fifth album. You know what I mean? But people
Right.
don't count the young Michael Jackson like we
Right.
don't really count the Hot Boys Wayne like that. This is a
Right.
whole new artist.
Right. That's why when we had Wayne So High, I was like trying to remind people, it's like, yo, do understand Wayne like had a deal since he's like 13. It's been like people look at Guerrilla Warfare, Mike, and you know this. Guerrilla Warfare is really just the original Hot Boys album redone with some new beats and like about 6 new tracks. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, they've been doing this. Like, Bling Bling came out when we was in high school, Mike.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, how about this? You want to talk about like The Block is Hot, Mike? Like, the actual album, The Block is Hot.
Yeah.
The Block is Hot's a dope record with Juvie and BG on the hook.
And that shit's kind of down the line, like, because that's after you get, like you said, Guerrilla Warfare, Get It How You Live, How You Love That, 400 Degrees, Soldier Rag. You got all the stuff that BG was
Chopper
doing,
City
Chopper
in the
City
Ghetto.
in the Ghetto, yeah. Like, so
Yeah.
The Block is Hot was last, you know what I mean?
Block is Hot is like 8 or 9 albums in on Cash Money's repertoire. Yeah, that's
Right.
what I mean.
JY with the super chat says, where's Nas on this list? I don't believe Nas is going to crank the top 5 on Billboard's list. I don't. You know what? They might even be disrespectful enough to have him outside of the top 10. Now I'm trying to think of what MCs you could put ahead of him outside of the top 10. I mean, if he was outside of the top 10. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You got to look at the guys who sold more. So, or who I guess we're going. I don't know. Like, did Ice Cube sell more than Nas?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think that.
What about Snoop? I'm interested to see where they put Snoop. I think where they put Snoop's going to say a lot.
I agree with that. I think that they're going to put Tupac, Biggie, Jay-Z, Eminem, and man, they might have Nas at that 5 spot. Or they could possibly put Kendrick above Nas. I could see that even happen.
I think he'll be in the top 10, Mike. I think a top 10 list without him on any sort of hip hop level at this point is egregious on like any level that you kind of want to speak on. Like 10,
Egregious.
like you got 10 guys better than Nas.
But
like,
the
for
hate
real.
that they have for Nas is just so next level. I wouldn't be surprised.
No. I mean, how about this? You know, we haven't had to pull up in a while because people have been behaving themselves and acting accordingly like they should.
They know the people will turn up on them real quick for the bullshit.
But it's a new year.
It
but
is
I
a
don't
new
have
year.
a new attitude.
Hassan Sykes with the
know?
super chat says, when Ye came out with Graduation, there still was gangster rappers in the top 5 until 2010. After 2010, you can't find a gangster rap album in the top 5. Well, you know, change doesn't happen, and you know, Barack Obama says this. Change doesn't happen immediately, right? But we can all say that 50 Cent and Kanye West matchup was the start of not only that individual surpassing the biggest quote-unquote gangster rapper of its time, but the artists that were getting signed to majors like the J. Coles, the Kendricks, the Drakes even, were getting opportunities because labels were seeing this can actually sell over gangster rap. So it might not just be like a light that happens just, you know, immediately, but the ball started rolling with Graduation, and the people that we were seeing that were offsprings of Kanye started to get in those positions and take those spots as well.
No, definitely the impact is there,
Yeah,
and you're it's a good analogy about like I guess like the steamroll snowball like effect of it all. I mean, Mike, I know it's real when you out here quoting Obama, which you don't be doing out here. You don't be quoting Obama.
Hey man, when you're right, you're right. When you're right, you're right. Mad Max with the super chat says, and Ye have Wayne too high, and y'all have Wayne too high for me. If rappers keep coming out with music and it's not all that good, they lose points. Wayne's last great project was 2011, 2012. Gotta factor that in.
Hold on, we have Kanye and Jay high, and he actually was around before both of them. So how can you say that?
And Jay
their last great projects were around that time too.
This is true. I think the thing is, man, like when it comes to longevity, I've seen it happen to LL, and their names seem to always come up when we talk about longevity, but I've seen it happen to them where it's almost like, and KRS too, to a degree, they get punished for staying around long enough. You know what I mean? Like, but we sit there and we award the people who don't go to work. We award the people who might not even have a full solo album. Hell, a full solo song.
See, and that's somehow, what I mean. How about this?
Because you never heard a bad verse from them, they're hired.
Hold on. How about this? Like, people be like, Wayne ain't top 20, but Andre 3000's top 5.
Right.
It's like, how? Like, Wayne has had like 90-day stretches. I'm not joking. Wayne has had 90-day stretches on the mic where he's literally recorded more than 3000 has his whole career. 90-day stretches.
Yeah. It's true.
3 months. That's 3 months, people. 90-day stretches.
I think that his bar work on features alone might outnumber Andre's whole bar work throughout his whole career. And I'm not being funny or coming down on 3000. I'm just being real. Like,
no, I'm not saying this in jest. We're not. I think sometimes because like we're having a good time and it's entertaining, and people think that it's like we're just saying stuff for shock value and entertainment. It's like, no. We're not saying this with any sort of jest whatsoever. Wayne really has had stretches that have outstretched some people's career, who people hold high, whether it's for better or for worse. Like a lot of flack I got on my list was about Big L and Big Pun. And I'm like, okay, you're having a vacuum conversation.
Exactly.
And more of a lyricist conversation than you are having the totality of what an MC is conversation.
You're right.
I can't put like... Truthfully, as far as like that slick witty talk is concerned, I preferred L over J while L and J were still both alive.
Yeah. And
you know what
L
I'm saying?
Just doesn't have enough, you know?
It's not enough. I can't be walking around telling people it's like, yeah, but L's better than J. It's like, I can't say that.
It's even like if all we got from J was Reasonable Doubt, which is still his best piece of work in my opinion. If that's all we got from him, we couldn't say he's top 3.
No, and even with that being said, as much as I preferred L, like has that slick talking, like witty, like lyricist, like Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous is not Reasonable Doubt, even though they got the same mic rating.
Nowhere near it. Crystal, and I say that respectfully because it ain't no.
It is respectfully because Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous is a dope ass rap album.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't have the Evils on it. It doesn't have Dead Presidents on it. It doesn't have Can I Live on it. It doesn't even have a Can't Knock the Hustle, in my opinion.
I don't know. Put It On an MVP.
I like Put It On an MVP, but it's not Can't Knock the Hustle.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Yeah. I feel you. Christopher Hogan with the super chat says Mixtape Wayne started his mainstreams and features. It did, but again, you need to close the deal. How many mixtape rappers did we have in that era? How many? And I say this respectfully, like. We always be like, yo, man, Saigon was killing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of mixtape rappers that didn't just get over that hump. You got to get over that hump. We can't sit here and act like the hump doesn't matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Hyson Sykes with the super chat says, y'all also said Ye was the first regular person turned rapper to go #1. But truthfully, Nelly was the first one out of the modern rappers. Nelly went down.
Trying to tell you.
Listen, man, you know me.
I'm trying to tell you, Nelly's not regular, first of all. First of all, Nelly, like part of why you're seeing him in a baseball jersey and in a baseball field is because he was an actual like prospect. And so he's an athlete, but he was also like had some street ties too. So no, he wasn't a regular dude. He was an athlete and a street dude.
Well, I love Nelly, and I think that what Nelly has done, or what Nelly did in that period, actually hasn't been done again, right? You got somebody coming from a city that never had a mainstream rapper come out of ever. And people didn't even know at the time that there were rappers coming out of St. Louis. He came out of there with zero cosigns. The features on that album are Wayne and Rashida. And you come out the gate doing 10 million. He ain't had no
so
Dr.
it
Dre as
wasn't
a
really
co-time. Go ahead.
it wasn't really 10. He really did 6 to 7 out the gate. It accumulated to 10 within a 2 or 3 year period. But that
Still
first,
incredible.
but I believe that first year, by the time that first year ended, it was like 5 heading on 6 million, and then into the next year. Because if I'm not mistaken, Country Grammar dropped in like April.
And saying all that to say, I think
But Mike, not to take anything away, I just want to clarify and document it correctly.
Oh, yeah.
Like when it actually happened, it was like 5, 6, or 7 million within the year, and then matriculated over the next couple of years to the diamond status that it now claims. But even around then, doing this is a phenomenal feat. Go ahead.
this is what I want to say about Nelly in contrast or comparison to Kanye West, and what I mean about Kanye West being like that regular dude in with mainstream success. From a content standpoint, they weren't talking about the same things. Even though Nelly kind of had like a singy song type of delivery, he was still talking about street shit.
Right.
He was
saying
like,
street
you know what I'm
sweeper,
saying?
baby,
Like,
ready to let it go.
exactly. So like, it might have sounded good to the crossover ear, but from a content standpoint, he wasn't making songs like All Falls Down. He wasn't making songs like Family Business or Jesus Walks from a content standpoint. So I think that comparison's kind of off. I still think that really, if somebody wanted to be technical and you print the lyrics off the page, somebody at Fox News could label Nelly a gangster rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't get the correlation there. I think that you're kind of going off of how it sounded and how many different outlets that don't really play hip hop embraced what he was doing. But yeah, I mean, listen to
you know what I heard
Country
really.
Grammar.
You know what I heard when I heard Country Grammar? It's like I heard somebody that was pulling off the single side of Life After Death. Like was definitely inspired by the singles on Life After Death, because no, the street talk is actually there, but it's so carefully guised in melodies, in hymns, and sing-songy like bar patterns and styles and catchy phrases that really make you divert your attention to when somebody comes on a verse saying shit like "Street Sweeper, let it go," or "I know you sick of this,"
It's
name
incredible.
brand nigga with those girls say he's sweet like liquor. It's like this nigga talking like this on a record. Ain't nobody paying to come through, have sex on runs as Persian, come up to your job, hit you. You know what I mean? When you start talking like that on singles, you know what I'm saying?
And you can kind of guise what you're saying because it sounds so good to the ear.
Right.
You nice.
You nice, right? You nice with it. Mm-hmm.
Hassan Sykes with the super chat says, "Sorry, I had to get them statements off my chest. Love y'all. Love you too. Appreciate the love." And yeah, anybody else who has anything off they want to get anything off their chest from the previous episode, we here to talk about it. 36 Chambers says Kendrick about to be on this list. Go ahead.
Just a couple people are in the chat. No. Nelly doesn't have like a classic, what you'd say, hip hop quotable verse, but that doesn't take away from the moment.
Or the band, or
the songs. I love EI.
It's incredible.
EI is my shit.
I mean, I love the remix to EI Tip Drill, and I think we all love that record. Incredible record. Video. 36 Chambers.
You want to know what's crazy? I knew some of the girls from that video.
I seen them as strokers back in the day. Yeah, I didn't know them personally, but
I knew a couple of them personally.
Great times. 36 Shaver says Kendrick about to be on the list as the greatest of all time with the award buzz for Mr. Morale and the Mid-Steppers. The buzz that the Mr. Morale and the Mid-Steppers is getting. I agree with that. I think that it's all leading into the Grammys, right? Because they're doing their So they're doing their 50 best rappers, greatest rappers, because of 50 years of hip hop. And shout out hip hop turning 50 this year. We'll get our 50 list together. We're at like 30 right now, but
And we haven't worked that out yet.
yeah, we're
I
gonna
like
get
how
to
they
that.
have this down while we're still like working it all out. And we kind of started, at least, if you're not first, you're last.
Well, they're releasing 10 at a time, so maybe they're quote unquote still working on it. But I think that it
Fascinating.
seems like they might be doing 10 a week, or I'm sure some people that work for Vibe or Billboard are probably in the room right now. But let us know. Anyway, I think that they're doing like maybe 10 a week, and when you calculate that, it's kind of leading up to the Grammy. So I could see Kendrick being very high just based on this Grammy buzz with Mr. Morale, because they all work together.
I would be surprised if he wasn't in their top 15, but I don't. I'm not privy to this, but how many albums has Kendrick like sold? I'm not sure. I'm not really privy.
He does pretty well, but I don't know off the top of my head. And
Okay.
then you know what? We got to also factor in Drake in this situation, right? Because this is Billboard we're talking about. Drake got all
Drake.
kind of Billboard records.
You said Billboard and Vibe.
Yeah, Drake's gonna be high.
High as hell.
Nicholas
high?
with the super chat
So
says,
high that I could kiss the sky.
right.
Up to the sky.
Yeah, he gonna be high. Nicholas with the
How
super
high?
chat says, what y'all think about Ghostface releasing a new album on Stream Player? Huh? On Stem Players. I'm sorry. I like it.
Isn't that what? Didn't Kanye do like that for an album?
He did. Is it gonna be with Kanye or something? I'm not up on this news. Huh? What if Kanye quote unquote produced a Ghost album and put it on the Ye Stem Player? Be interesting. But you know what? This is what I'll
Do you
say.
have access to the stem player, Mike? Can we get access?
I
to
haven't,
those?
but this is what I'm gonna say, Coop. I'd rather they do that than make one Wu-Tang album and sell it to one person in an auction.
I believe there was only one person responsible for that, Mike, but I'm going to say less.
Ultimately, yes, I agree with you 100%.
I'm
36
gonna say
Chambers with the super chat says, if we are deducting points for subpar projects recently, where does Jay-Z fit on that list now? That's the
I told you,
conversation.
see, when you started this Kanye thing, it really became a Jay thing.
So, that's the conversation. If we are lowering Wayne now, it's true. We can't pick and choose. We got to kind of be across the board with this. And speaking of that, people think I'm picking and choosing when it comes to Kanye West and Eminem. And when I brought up the whole numbers and hits conversation, maybe I should have set that conversation up a little better in the previous episode. But let's be honest, guys. Let's be completely honest. We got Eminem songs out there that are like 10 times platinum that none of us have even heard of. So it's not the same thing. The songs that I was naming, everybody's privy to. These are songs that people either play all the time or played all the time when they were around.
Mike, when I said EI was my jam, people went in the chat and started listing their Nelly jams, because to be a hip hop fan is just like any other genre. When you're a connoisseur, the songs from your legends, they just start rattling and rippling off, Mike. It's not some sort of thing where it's like, oh, well, such and such soul, such and such. It's like, ain't none of, like, Mike, that's what I'm saying. It's like, when I said EI was my shit, people like, no, Hiding Here was my shit. No. Ride With Me was my shit. Forget that. I still love Country Grammar. Oh, I love this. Don't forget about Dilemma with Kelly. Yeah. That's what happens when you're a legend. Ain't no numbers conversation. It's like, do you remember how that record slapped? Do you remember how that shit slapped, son?
I think over time too, man, Ride With Me might have been the one that aged the best. And I know that Leroy Green was in our last episode's comment section saying, I hate that conversation about how songs age, but I mean, it's a real conversation because, like you said, when EI dropped, it was my favorite, but now we don't hear EI as much as we hear Ride With Me. Ride With Me is the record. And this is the thing. You could ask Nelly. If you ask Nelly, if we had Nelly here right now, it's like, look, what songs do you perform now in your sets that are like, throwbacks that get people up the most? It's probably Ride With Me. Those are real
You,
things. You know what I mean?
but
And
but think about
the aging of a record has a lot to do with that.
But now, let's go to this. People got on Nelly, and I was one of them, and admittedly so, about the sing-songy melody and flow just of that album in general. I felt like it was just too much of it. But here's the reality of the matter. When you play Ride With Me, part of why Ride With Me lasts so long is because Ride With Me plays like a hip-hop kind of country folk blues kind of record. It kind of has a feel that kind of transcends this genre a little bit. It's a little bit of one of our genre blending moments where we ascend that we really don't talk about.
I agree with you. With you. Mad Max with the super chat, and I'm gonna get back to what I was saying.
Like, think about this. Like somebody like a Garth Brooks or a Travis Tritt or even a Carrie Underwood, they could have sung the same song and made it a country song, and it would have went diamond.
I'm sure they were playing that song at the hoedowns too. You know what I'm saying? Like that song.
I would not mind going to see my brother in Nashville, pulling up on Broadway and doing a little motherfucking do-si-do to Ride With Me. No, I don't mind.
I'm gonna get back to what I was saying in correlation to the Eminem and Kanye thing that people had an issue with, but let me get to the super chats real quick. Mad Max says MJ on the Wizards has opened up the door for LeBron versus Michael. Kobe versus MJ debates. If MJ never extended his career, he'd be the undisputed. But like I said, with sticking around too long, with Wayne, it lowers your stock. I want to say this and put this in context too, because actually a friend of mine and I were talking about this today. People do understand that the reason why Michael Jordan went and played for the Wizards is because, he was promised ownership, and he went out there to raise the stock of that organization that he was supposed to be owning, but they reneged on him. And, thankfully for Bob Johnson and BET creating his own team from scratch, Michael Jordan's the only black owner in all of sports.
I think reneged is a very nice word. I believe the appropriate words are used and lied to Michael Jordan.
Because we got to ask ourselves, what are the two reasons that Michael left Chicago when he did and retired?
Jerry Reinsdorf wouldn't bring Phil Jackson back.
Exactly. Ownership and coaching. I don't even want to say coaching, but he didn't want to play under anything new, right? So why would he go to a team in the Washington Wizards that has no way of winning anything? And you know who ended up being his coach in Washington? Doug Collins, the guy who was his coach when he won all those scoring titles, Defensive Player of the Year. If Chicago would have just said, you know what, Phil's out of here, but we bring Doug Collins back, he would have stayed.
That is correct. He also wanted input on some of the decisions being made.
Yeah. So, the Jordan Wizard years, I don't think it lowered his stock in any, sense of the word. I think that people could see it in context. Now, maybe the Wizard years need to be documented properly so people could have some context. It's not this guy who was the competitor that he was and was about winning is not going to sit here and go to no team that has no chance of winning just because he can't stay away from basketball. You know what I mean? That wasn't what it was.
He could have went to a more viable team and won.
Exactly. Hassan Sykes with the super chat says, it's real when I'm spending my hard-earned money with y'all. I appreciate the love, man. We appreciate everybody spending their hard-earned money. Michael Williams says, what's the difference between songwriting and lyricism? You guys have always lauded K-Dot's songwriting, but do you consider him as an elite lyricist too? That's a great question, especially since we just got through talking about Nelly. I think Nelly is an incredible songwriter, probably one of the best radio hit songwriters hip hop's ever seen, along with LL Cool J.
Ja Rule.
I also
Drake.
I think Andre 3000 is a great songwriter, but maybe not in the solo rap sense, but just overall song. I do hold Kendrick high as a lyricist, though. I think I hold him higher as a lyricist than I do a songwriter.
How about this? Kendrick is held high as a lyricist, and I say this respectfully, But do I hold him in the class lyrically that I hold a Rakim, a Nas, a Black Thought, a KRS, a Big Pun when he was here, a Cool G Rap? No, I do not hold him in that category. Jay's in that category too. I hold him in the next category.
Really?
There's nothing wrong
Why?
with being in the next category.
Why exactly?
Okay, so people were in the chat was like, well, name the Nelly quotable. Well, y'all tell me the Kendrick like hip hop quotable, because every time I ask people this, we go to that Control verse, and I keep trying to tell y'all that ain't it. That ain't no verbal intercourse. That ain't no My Philosophy. That ain't no Who Shot You or Kick in the Door. That ain't no Imaginary Player or Streets is Watching type of verse. That ain't no The Evils type of verse. Like, what are you talking about? That ain't no Memory Lane type of verse. That ain't no It Ain't Hard to Tell type of verse. That's not a Silent Murder or Take It in Blood type of verse. You understand? It's not a Dead Presidents type of verse. What kind of verse is he have that's like that? Where's the lyrics of Fury? Where's the microphone fiend? Where's the third verse to I Ain't No Joke? You see how I can just run these off at the drop of the dime? Where's even Concerto or the Desperado that Black Thought did on Philadelphia Half-Life? Where are these bars?
I can't wait to hear the Kendrick fans light up the chat and in the comment section to refute what you're saying.
Where's his rhyme of the year, Mike? Where's his undisputable rhyme of the year? Because if Control is it, go look at Jay Electronica's bar work on Control and tell me, like, Mike, since we talk about writing and we talk about the great writer he is, if you were to write Jay Electronica's verse down and write Kendrick's verse down, you know whose verse would be better?
So, all right.
The other verse is just full of, like, writing names down. Yes, super lyrical. Where's his Dream Shatterer by Big Pun?
The first verse that comes to mind with Kendrick when you say all those things is Feel, right? His last verse on Feel.
And that's what I think of too, and that ain't it. And that's why he's in the second tier, because that ain't it.
And everything that you're saying, it makes me think and ask, excuse me, is a lot of his lyricism kind of masked by how flashy his flow and his style is, other than just the lyrics themselves?
I think when you spend so much time conceptualizing sometimes, like writing it out and writing through it, you don't feel it out and feel through it enough and let it just kind of like happen. You know? Like, you can tell when MCs are having moments. You talk about feel, because feel is like a moment, and you can kind of feel where he's making it and just kind of letting it happen, like it happens. You know what I'm saying? It don't got to be all these intricacies and nuances all the time. That's why I was rapping the verse to Take It in Blood. Mike, I mean, what's your favorite Nas record? It's sort of like The Conclusion, The Color Purple, Niggas is Losing. You understand exactly what he's saying and what he means when he comes in like that. Don't we all understand? It's sort of like The Conclusion, The Color Purple, Niggas is Losing.
Or like when he comes in there, it's like smoking nigga like a Huge Brother motion picture. It's just so smooth.
You know what's going on. It ain't all that.
So you think that Kendrick is too technical and too constructed?
A lot of the things that you criticize Eminem about, I could criticize Kendrick about. I'll leave it at that.
And you know what? I agree with you 100%. I think that I could hear a lot of Eminem in Kendrick. I think the difference between the two is I think Kendrick makes some music that I can vibe to a little bit more. I think that Kendrick's production choice and the soulfulness and a lot of his, musical choices connect with me more than a lot of Eminem's musical choices connect. But as far as if we just talking about delivery, the way that they give you the rhymes and stuff, like, it's very similar. Like, I can put together, look inside my parking garage and see a collage of every person I despise since the moment I turned 5. That's very the one man on the planet that jump off of the Grand Canyon. How about the Grand Canyon handstanding? Yeah.
Listen, I just want you to peep this out. All last year, we pretty much talked about how this album wasn't good and people pulled up on me and started tripping. Nobody's given us a verse yet. That's what I'm talking about. It's all this fodder, but it's no real action behind it. And then people make excuses. Like, I hear a lot of people saying he's a storyteller. It's like, okay,
he is a great storyteller.
If you think storytelling equals like lyricism, he's still not all the way A1 because like where's his never seen a man die? Where his a minute to pray, a second to die? Where like as much as we love like Duckworth, I love Duckworth. That's not Rewind. I was listening to the setup this morning.
All that I got is you.
He doesn't have one story. No. He doesn't have one story. This is exciting as the setup for Blazer 50. I was listening to the setup today. I was like, oh, this nigga wild on here. This is great. He don't have no track where it come on you like, oh, I can't wait for this nigga to tell this story. He don't have no niggas bleed. Where's the niggas bleed? Where's the setup? Where's Rewind? Hold on, since people want to talk about all that lyrical miracle within storytelling, where's the I gave you power?
Or the Rewind. I mean, from a concept standpoint.
Where is it?
As great as he is as a storyteller, I feel like from a storytelling standpoint, the concept record that J. Cole gave us on Wet Dreams might be a little bit more impressive from a conceptual standpoint than many of his records. Not to mention it was a radio record at the same time. Mad Max of the Super Chat says, yeah, but Mike MJ Bull's career average, he averaged 33, 6, and 6. The Wizards ruined his stats. I feel you on that. And you see people using that as a debate that guys don't belong with.
Oh, him. People do forget that. His scoring average was 32.8 when he left the Bulls, and it ended up being like, 31 even or 30 even or something like that.
I think most of well, at least in that era, and we might not see that now because everything is so offensive heavy, but even Larry Bird, Magic, they had down years at the end that kind of brought down their overall stats. So that's like nothing new, really. Even Kobe, like, you know what I'm saying? Like at the end of his career, you could tell he was older. It happens to all of the older players. And if LeBron stays around long enough, from an average standpoint, it'll happen to him too.
Here's why storytelling in lyrics, here's where they separate themselves. I like to give like actual real examples.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Follow the Leader and The Greatest Adventures of Slick Rick come out the same year?
Yes.
Okay.
It Takes a Nation as well.
I was about to go there if I needed to, but let's stay with the solo MCs that are like unto themselves with just pretty much one producer working on their projects. You want to know what the rhyme of the year is? That's Rakim's beginning to end rhyme on Microphone Fiend or one of the verses from Lyrics of Fury. You want to know what the best story of the year is? It's Children's Story. There's your difference. You get what I'm saying? It's like, oh, is storytelling involve a lyrical component? Yes, but lyrically delivering, Children's Story isn't Microphone Fiend or Lyrics of Fury, and we all know this already. You get what I'm saying? So when we be like storytelling is part of lyricism and something unto itself, because you can write the greatest story ever, recorded on record, and it be a big hit, and even a bigger hit than the lyrical smashes that your competition is making. And lyrically, it cannot be as precise as Microphone Fiend. Correct?
And, and I'm going to be, not being disrespectful, but, Will Smith's one of the best storytelling MCs, but he might not be the most lyrical.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And he told some great stories.
Me and Six have been saying this since we were literally kids. The Fresh Prince, the rapper, the MC, is one of the most entertaining, innovative, creative, and best storytellers you will find on the mic.
I mean, look at it. He got the whole Fresh Prince theme song. Everyone knows that story. You got Parents Just Don't Understand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Summertime.
Yeah, you got that too. That's kind of a story, but Parents Just Don't Understand is a story. You know what I mean? Girls in the World Ain't Nothing But Trouble is a story.
What's the other one after Parents Just Don't Understand? That's a story too.
Yeah, the Girls in the World Ain't Nothing But Trouble. Is that what you're talking about?
Nothing but trouble.
Yeah. Jay Short with the Super Chat says...
Is that the one with the I Dream of Jeannie sample?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Jay Short with the Super Chat says, not a case stepper here, but Kendrick's verse on Dope from Pusha's album was pretty great.
You talking about the nostalgia verse?
I think that's what he's talking about.
That's pretty high. No. I'll give you nostalgia. I thought nostalgia is it's probably one of his 5 to 10 best verses to me. I'll give you that. The nostalgia appearance is really, really great. It's probably his best guest appearance.
DeCarlo with the Super Chat says, don't kill my vibe remix. He snapped on Coop. Now that's true. Now that that's up there. That's a very interesting appearance from Jay too, where it's like Jay attempted, just like he did on Renegade, to step in someone else's world and K Dot
I don't
just
think
took
I don't think
off.
people are hearing me though. Listen to what I'm saying. As a storyteller, listen. As a storyteller, where's the children's story? Mona Lisa. The Love's Gonna Get You. The I Gave You Power. The Rewind. The Never Seen a Man Die. Where's that? Then pause.
So
And
what you're
then lyrically,
saying?
hold on.
Okay.
And then lyrically, Mike, where's the microphone theme? Where's the lyrics of Fury? Where's the Taking in Blood? Mike, where's the kick in the door?
Okay. So what you're
Where's
saying?
the kick in the door?
What you're saying, and what I'm gathering here is, if he's one of the best storytellers, we should have a song to go to say, yo, that's one of the best hip hop stories ever told. Like, he doesn't even have like a Renee or anything like that, which was a great story.
Niggas bleed. As soon as people like Big only made 2 albums. He made Niggas Bleed. He made I Got a Story to Tell.
Yeah.
He made Me and My Bitch.
He made
These
Warning.
are facts. These things happened
He
in
made
2
Warning.
albums. These things happened in 2 albums. So
Man,
like, why you have Big so high as a storyteller? It's like, oh, you want some evidence?
Yeah, we can go to the stories.
Want some
Mad Max
evidence? We
with
can go
the
to the
super
stories.
chat. Mad Max says, don't a very good lyricist, the difference between him and guys above him, I guess he's saying K Dot is a very good lyricist. The difference between guys and above him is his average metaphor, average rhyme scheme, dots imagery, alliteration that he stole from Pac and vocab boost him, but he's not elite.
That's why I keep saying he's not the A plus, but he's the next tier. And that's not disrespectful when I'm saying that. That's what the output says. How about this? As much as I love How Much a Dollar Cost, which I still think is his best story and arguably his best song, where does that rank next to Brenda's Got a Baby, Rewind, I Got a Story to Tell, Never Seen a Man Die, Children's Story, The Setup, Mona Lisa, Love's Gonna Get You? Are you listening to all these like classic Renee? Like, are you listening to all these classic stories? I'm telling you, are you going to tell me that How Much a Dollar Cost is as great as those records? Because we sure do not sing about that record like that.
I'm going to ask you a question, man. Do you think that Kendrick's albums are better than him as an MC?
Absolutely. I've always told Mike, the article that I wrote that was giving him top 10 credence was saying it's about the wonderful and versatile way that he makes albums and how wonderful and versatile he is as an MC. I literally said in that article, well, he's not the greatest at anything, but he's really good at everything. So when you're like, is he a great storyteller? Yes. Is he top 5? No. 10? Arguable. Is he a top 10 lyricist? No, he's not. He's not a top 10 lyricist. Never looked at him that way. I reference in the article how he can be a Biggie type of MC in terms of how he can be fully encompassing with his storytelling, delivery, lyrics, entendres, concepts, all of those things. No. He does everything at a fairly high proficient level. He's not like, Mike, if this was like an Ivy League school, and there's like 1,000 people in the class, and you're telling me that this guy is like 14th to 20th ranked in this class, and everybody's brilliant because that's how brilliant you have to be to make it to this institution. And you're like, well, he really has the brains of a top 5 GPA guy. It's like, yeah, but his GPA still says he's 14 to 20. So that's what the GPA is. You get what I'm saying? It don't matter about what people think like about it or feel about it. It's like, no. What does your output say that you perform like? You know, like, and I only say that in reference, like, I can remember being in high school when people thought, and I say this about me, people thought that I had one of the 5 best GPAs in high school because of how my mind was. But the performance was a little bit different. I was a little bit lower than that. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You are what your ranking says what you are. What's that shit Bill Parcells used to tell people? You are what your record says you are?
It's pretty much what it is.
It's pretty much what it is.
Peter Parks with the super chat says, I've been saying this from the beginning. Kendrick is a solid lyricist. As a lyricist, his strength is in his album making. People just overinflate him. Marquez Davis with the super chat says, what are we doing? Kendrick is a great songwriter, artist. He is not a great lyricist. 2 things can be true. Okay. Seems like we're getting somewhere here. 36 Chambers says, songwriting is how palatable a song can be made while still keeping the content solid. Lyricism is sentence structure, bar work, punchlines, similes, metaphors, entendres, multiple syllabic points. I
Okay,
think that's well
this
put.
is. How about this? A great storyteller inspires you to want to tell a great story. That's why I bring up stuff like when I tell people, it's like, no, when I'm listening to I Got a Story to Tell and I'm listening to niggas bleed, it's like, oh, no, no, no. He heard it was written. He listened to the setup. He listened to shootouts. You know, it's one of those iron sharpened iron thing. It's like, no, no, no. Love's Gonna Get You is coming out like literally, I think like a year and a half after Children's Story. Like KRS is listening to Slick craft all these great stories. He's listening to Mona Lisa. You know what I mean? No, iron sharpens iron in that regard. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and also like gives you the inspiration. It's like nobody talks about Kendrick's great storytelling records in these regards, do they? When? When does it happen?
You just made me think about something. Has anybody ever asked Nas what made him bump up his storytelling output to that level on It Was Written? Because One Love is One Love the only story on Illmatic?
I think it's the only thing that you could truly classify as a story.
I mean, you can kind of say the New York State of Mind is...
The third verse is kind of like a break from, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he kind of goes on a tangent. Or how about this? Like he steps behind the mic and has like that solo soliloquy on One Love. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But you got like...
then he steps back into the story.
Well.
Yeah.
But It Was Written, it was like he took it to the next level. And it's like, It Was Written is before Life After Death. Like what inspired Nas to really take his storytelling to new heights on It Was Written? Has anyone ever asked him that?
I don't know. Maybe we should ask for an interview.
Yeah, we should. 36 Chambers says Kendrick is the songwriter, but he's not a Nas, Rakim, KRS. He's not a Lupe or a Black Thought lyricist. Storytelling and songwriting are different.
Huh. And there's no shame in that. That's what I'm saying. It's like if you're not a Lupe, a Black Thought, a Rakim lyricist, if you're not a Nas or a Scarface or a Ghostface like storyteller or writer per se of songs that people remember and consider to be classic, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the very highest level. What you find when you perform at close to and sometimes venture into that highest level is you being valued and evaluated on those levels in comparison with those people. And we just have to give it some, fairness and appropriate distinction. It's like, if you could name it to me, like I'll tell you, it's like right now, if people love Kendrick's records like that, Mike, they can just like spit the rhymes out right now to him. Like you could, Mike, name me a Nas story. I'll start rhyming it to you right now.
When you said shootouts, I was thinking like, I had the whole scene in my head.
Release the semi, besides the Henny, this I've seen plenty. Fiends get Sandy has a snorting. Get what I'm saying? Like, the shootout, Mike, I already know what time it is. It's like
I love that second verse, man.
Second verse crazy. That's what I mean. It's a great story. You already know what I'm talking about.
Marquez Davis with the super chat says, I meant to say Kendrick is a good lyricist, not an elite lyricist.
I think he's great. I just don't think he's in the top tier. That's what I'm saying. Like,
but you said his strength is just in his ability to do everything. And his biggest strength is those albums and the strength of those albums. I think that's one of the things that him and Kanye have in common, too. And
how about this?
But Kanye has the singles where Kendrick has the better lyrical skills. You know what I mean?
How about this? And this is what I mean about being an elite songmaker is like, well, do you think Kendrick is conceptually beyond Kanye?
No.
Do you think he makes better records than Kanye?
No, I don't.
Where is he exactly better than Kanye?
He's a better rapper.
Other than lyrically.
Yeah.
Other than lyrically, where is he better than Kanye?
Yeah, other than everything that has to do with rapping, like flow, and I mean,
that's what I mean, the lyrical stuff. Flow. That's what I mean. I don't even know if he's a better storyteller, Mike. That's what I'm saying when I say that. Like, when I listen to Kanye on Roses, that's more memorable than any story I've ever heard Kendrick tell. I know it's past visiting hours, but can you please give her these flowers?
I mean, even his story
on anesthesia. Might send
Um,
the body into a seizure.
what's
That
the
little thing by the
story
thing
on
with it'll stop breathing. Hey, chick, I'm at a loss for words.
Still Dreaming, where he
Yeah.
was like, he woke up at 6:30 and at 7:45 as he waited shorty high. She knows you pulling the, yeah, she laughs, you pull the thing out. Dang, it was like, how she found out
Kanye's
she
not
dreamt
really
the
an
whole
MC. People
thing
need to
out.
understand that how about this? People need to understand that Kanye is a producer first, and he does better everything that we hold Kendrick high for, better than Kendrick actually. Do you get what I'm saying when I say that? Everything that we hold this man high for, Kanye actually does better, and he's a producer. So how elite is this performance that you're talking about? I'm still waiting to hear these Rhyme of the Year verses.
Mad Max of the Super Chat says, nostalgia is the only time Dot had next level rhyme schemes, metaphors, syllable rhyming. That's why I say Cole is a better lyricist because he does that better and is a notch below Dot or at equal at imagery and vocabulary storytelling. I
That's what
think
I mean.
their
How about this? Can
storytelling
I
could
tell you
be
something?
arguable. Yeah.
Can I tell you something? I thought if you want to talk, remember J. Cole's verse on Pray?
Mm-hmm.
That's a story and a lyrical verse, and I thought that might have been verse of the year, and that's the year Good Kid, Mad City came out.
Mo
I
better.
think J. Cole's verse on Pray might be better than every verse, like if you just lining it up, because that's a story, that's lyrical. No, Cole's verse on Pray is what I'm talking about.
I want to ask a question since you want to go there. Does Kendrick have a better verse on Mr. Morale than Cole has on Benny's joint on Johnny P's Caddy? Is Johnny P's Caddy verse from Cole better than every verse on Mr. Morale?
It's better than every verse on a few of Kendrick's projects.
Okay, I want to ask the people that. Mo Better Cole with the super chat.
We're just talking about a verse.
If we just talk about one verse.
Just talking about a verse.
I mean, we do that with 3,000 all the time. Why can't we do?
Not a song, not a concept, just one verse.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we do that with 3,000 all the time.
There are some verses on Damn that are better
Cole.
than the Johnny P's Caddy verse, but not on the other albums like that.
Okay. Mo Better Cole with the super chat says K-Dot's best lyrical performances are on To Pimp a Butterfly. Problem with that is it's just like what y'all said. It's a beautiful album most people don't go back to.
It's not that beautiful if we don't go back to it. What It Takes a Nation of Millions is beautiful. You want to know why? Because, Mike, when you played it on Patreon, on our Patreon show, I felt like I was being pimp slapped and backhanded every time you played a record. Every time you played a record, I was like, oh my God, this record is so great. I'm in so much trouble right now. I
felt like that when you were playing stuff from the Purple Tape, man. I'm like,
very much comparable album.
It's like, yes, this is next level shit.
That's why when you said the Wu-Tang thing in Dungeon Family, I wasn't being funny, Mike. It's like, well, I have 2 of the 10 greatest rap albums sitting right here, so I can just pull 20 songs from those 2 albums. You're done.
You played about 7 songs that were just from 36 Chambers, and it was next level. This is 1993 stuff. It's next level. Yeah. Hassan Sykes with the super chat says Nightmare on Elm Street by Fresh Prince. Yes, that's a great story too. Yeah, he's a great storyteller. JY with the super chat says he said my age act like Sing About Me is a #1 story. He said guys my age act like Sing About Me is a #1 story. Where do you think Sing About Me actually ranks when it comes to putting that up against some of the great stories ever in hip hop?
Well, I thought you meant in his catalog.
No, like if you matched it up against Biggie's storytelling catalog, since he only has 2 albums.
I mean, you could say it's better than Me and My Bitch, but this is what I mean.
Is it better than Warner?
Oh, hell no. But this is what I mean. Does he have any moments that's what I'm talking about. I'm just going to say this in a nice way. Niggas have to want to sing your shit, Mike.
Well, that adds to your songwriting ability.
With The Rock just as long as me. Toting guns just as long as me. The bitch belongs with me. Any plans with another bitch, my bitch is spoiled One day she used my toothbrush to clean the toilet, throwing my clothes out the windows. Mike, how it go? So when the wind blows, I see my polos and Timbos. Hide my car keys so I can't leave. A real slick bitch keep a trick up her sleeve. And if I deceive, she won't take it lightly. She'll invite me politely to fight G. And then we lie together, cry together. I swear to God, I hope we fucking die together. Where's that at? Where?
It's a fair point.
Where?
Jay Short with the super
Big's
chat.
Best story.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I feel like Kendrick could be a top tier lyricist. I don't think the production he picks allows him to do that. You think that's a production handicap? I think his production's actually pretty good.
I've never had an issue with the production until this album, actually. And if there is ever a production issue, you know, there's this guy named Dr. Dre that a lot of people consider to be the greatest producer of all time. And apparently you have some sort of access to him. So we really don't want to hear no shit about you having production issues. There should be no production issues.
Eric Terrell.
Insane.
Eric Terrell with the super chat.
Insane.
Eric Terrell says, Coop, there was a million story raps in the 80s. That was the standard. So why are you attacking like Big motivated anyone to make story raps? The message is a story. The product by Cube is a story.
I mean, I've been bringing up Love's Gonna Get You in Slick Rick's entire album. We can bring up Ice Cube's storytelling. I brought up Scarface's storytelling.
That used to be a standard in hip-hop, and I think that Kendrick,
I'm bringing up certain guys, Mike, because they're the greatest MCs of all time, and part of the reason they are the greatest MCs of all time is because they are what? Best storytellers and best lyricists. Not just tier 2, tier 1.
Well, see, this is the thing, Coop, and I feel like Kendrick and Cole are the ones that kind of hang on to that storytelling mentality. But a lot of rappers in today's era just don't rap stories. Like, we talking about Mr. Cheeks with Renee. Like, telling a story in a rhyme almost used to be a prerequisite. Like, I remember Nice and Smooth with, you know, sometimes I rhyme slow, sometimes I rhyme quick. Like, you're not going to get people outside of Cole and Kendrick to even consistently be on their storytelling shit. So I think what Kendrick and Cole sometimes too benefits from is the fact that nobody in this era really even tells stories like that.
That's not our problem. What they reminisce over you is what, Mike?
A story. Does Nicki Minaj have stories that we could point to? And I've always said this about Wayne too, since we want to talk about Wayne. Does Wayne have stories we can point to?
No. Wayne's not a storyteller at all. It's his business. The biggest attraction as an MC to me. Mm-hmm. Biggest attraction as an MC to Wayne is that he has no stories to speak of. Here's what I will tell you about Kendrick, and this is what I mean. It's viable about him being arguably a top 10 storyteller, and it's arguable. If you actually go to the catalog of stories, it's a lot of really, really good to great stories, a few classic stories, and probably the best storyteller of this generation because of the work, the art of peer pressure, how much a dollar costs. Mm-hmm. Mike, the record that put me on to it, remember I was telling you about the moment me and Meek, when she cut on She Needs Me, and I was in one bathroom and she was in the other, and we both ran back into our collective rooms at the time, like, who the fuck this nigga? Like, ooh, like, oh shit.
Sing about it.
Like, She Needs Me gave me goosebumps, Mike. Like, I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm saying when you start talking about Biggie, Slick Rick, Nas, Scarface, Ghostface, Ice Cube, Chuck D is responsible for a lot of this stuff, because you want to know it. Chuck D really ignited a consciousness in rappers to want to talk about what was going on in their neighborhood. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And
I think Chuck D is responsible for a lot of the storytelling format that we see from the MCs that we hold so high. That's really all Chuck shit. It's that urban angst that comes from feeling neglected and rejected by society. I know that goes back to Melly Mel's The Message. Yeah. But Chuck D was making shit that niggas was coming up on could feel, whether you're Scarface in Houston, Snoop and Dre in Cali, you know what I'm saying, and Ice Cube and Easy in Cali. Like, no matter where you were, you could feel the shit Chuck was putting it down if he was black and crack in the 80s.
Yeah, Chuck does credit Melly Mel's last verse on The Message. And, I want to say this, too, because I think the whole song, The Message, is brilliant. Like, all of the stories on there. But that I got a letter from the government the other day. I opened and read it. They said they were suckers. They wanted me for their army or whatever. Picture me giving a damn. I said never. Like, those things hit a little different. The Raisin Head with the super chat says, soon as he opened Let the Glock Burst, they had the chain on your son hit the lock first. The best rapper I've ever heard was Nas on It Was Written. It wasn't an album, it was a compilation of movies.
See, I actually thought It Was Written was very much inspired by the purple tape from the cinematic feel to it. Because think about it, he's around for the purple tape. He's on the purple tape. He's literally the only person outside of Wu-Tang that's on the purple tape.
He sounds like them.
Don't tell me that he got on Verbal Intercourse if he didn't hear those other records, Mike.
He sounds like them on It Was Written to me. But he sounds like, he's not. He sounds like a better version of them, which is not a disrespect, but you know what I mean.
No, that goes back to the iron. So let me say something. Part of what makes Into the Wu-Tang so special, and I realize it, is that you don't realize that in 1993, Wu-Tang is changing the way everybody's rhyming on the spot.
Yeah.
It's never been done before. Like these bars, these schemes, these patterns, like you've never seen it stack up or line up like this. And so what really happens in like 95 and 96 with the Wu projects and the Nas projects is that they're sharpening each other's steel. Same thing with Prodigy. Part of why Prodigy sounds so good, well, Prodigy's rapping with Raekwon and Nas and Ghostface.
Yeah.
You can't, what you gonna do?
You better come to work.
You better come to work. What's that shit Michael Jordan said in the elevator about bringing A game? No. You better bring the A+ game.
Yeah.
Like the A+ game. You have to rhyme with Nas and Raekwon in 94, 95, 96. Yeah, Prodigy. And Prodigy, I think, is the youngest one out of all of them around that time. You better sound good.
Yeah.
You do not want to get faded on these records. These niggas is coming up with new styles.
You're going to get faded even if you come with a great verse. So you don't want to come with no bullshit verse and get super faded. Like, you won't even exist. Niggas will skip your shit.
Ray's telling a story on Nighttime Vultures, but he can't fade Prodigy, even with the story. And Ray's a great storyteller, too.
He is.
36 Spot Rushes, Chambers. Knowledge God.
36 Chambers with the super chat says, story is a word we throw around in hip-hop loosely. Story is what is relatable to a target audience. I know dudes who relate to K-Dot more than Big and who would place him higher due to generational gaps, to a generation gap. Well, I mean, again, we both can be right, we both can be wrong, but when you put those two songs stacked up against each other and ask a neutral party what's the better record, what do you think the answer would be?
See, here's the problem. Here's the problem people keep running into with Biggie and his catalog. They're like, oh, well, he didn't do enough. It's like, okay, that's fine, because that's actually factual when you say that. Show me the hits that such and such made that were better. It's like, oh, pause. Well, show me the street records that were better. Hold up, wait, pause. Show me the guest appearances that were better. Hold up, wait, pause. Show me the stories that were better. Hold up, wait, pause. Show me the concepts that were better. Hold up, wait. You get what I'm saying?
I would challenge.
The only people ahead of him are the people that are comparable to him, that have exceeded the work. If you're not comparable to him, you don't deserve to be ahead of him. You don't have a you're nobody till somebody kills you in a 10 crack commandments. You go over there.
I would challenge anyone to a 20-song versus with me having Biggie. Pick anybody you want. And if you start picking people now, you're going to start picking the greatest of all time.
You better pick Tupac or
That's
Snoop.
what I'm saying. You're going to start picking those people. But anybody else outside of that circle of the Nas, J's, Pac, you know what I'm saying, Snoop, maybe, to a certain degree. No, everybody's in trouble. But you're not going to go out there and pick guys that you think did 10 albums or whatever, because his 2-album output doesn't even matter in the grand scheme of things. He did so much with these 2 albums.
Everybody's in trouble. I pick Snoop or Tupac.
Yeah, Snoop's definitely the pick. Just You Run with the super chat says, it's unfair. Cole's verse is better than anyone's verse this year. It was the best verse Cole ever said. Is it unfair if you had 5 years to write an album and you're the greatest lyricist of your time? I don't know. Jay Short with the super chat says, do you think the fact that a lot of rappers didn't grow up in the street environment of the 80s and the 90s has hurt storytelling. Cole and Kendrick probably have experiences to write a Give Me the Loot. That's interesting because I was just listening to Chris Cross's Young, Rich, and Dangerous. It's celebrating an anniversary.
That album's dope.
It is
so is the
dope,
production on it.
very dope album. One of my favorite Jermaine Dupri beats is on there, and it's the beat that DJ Screw took for you know what I'm saying, his epic opus. It's that Niggas in the Street Ain't Right song. And
Right.
and it's
Tonight's the night. The beat to Tonight's the night.
that's heavy. But the Niggas in the Street Ain't Right
It's
record
nice.
is a storytelling record from Criss Cross. I mean, they did that with I Missed the Bus and stuff like that. But this is a street record from Criss Cross. Now, side note, and for anybody who's listening right now, and I don't want to get in trouble about this, but I have a theory. This Chris Terry guy that they're saying is Chris Terry on the Young, Rich, and Dangerous album, it's T.I. I'm sorry. It has to be T.I. He raps like T.I. He sounds like T.I. His flow is like T.I. His whole persona is like T.I. I have a theory that T.I. was supposed to be the third member of Criss Cross. Whatever happened, I don't know. But this Chris Terry guy that no one seems to know, I believe is T.I. But anyway, sounds like T.I. actually wrote that Niggas in the Street Ain't Right song too. But storytelling was important for everybody at that standpoint. And I agree. I think you need those kind of experiences that I feel like T.I. probably had to be able to write a song like that. And again, you can verify any of the stuff that I'm saying. I want y'all to go listen to this one song and tell me it's not T.I. The people who are sitting at home, whenever you're done with
What
this
track is
show.
that? It's track 5?
Let's see. It is track. No, not Young, Rich, and Dangerous. It is Money, Power, and Fame. Tell me the guy on the first verse ain't T.I. And then you can listen to the song Hey Sexy. He's on there too. And if that's not T.I., T.I. took this guy's whole style. Now, the story is this Chris Terry individual supposedly died in a car crash or whatever, had an untimely demise. But thing is, I've never heard of him. I've never heard anybody say R.I.P. Chris Terry. Never heard any of that stuff. So for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, I have a theory where I think that Chris Terry's T.I.
And you said
But
Money, Power, and Fame?
it is, yep, that song.
I got this album for my birthday when I was in 7th grade. I bought the CD to school. Everybody was jealous. It was great.
You want to go listen to the song real quick while I go through the super chats? Can you?
No, I'd have to run. All my
don't
headphones
do
are
it.
upstairs right
Well,
now.
everybody go listen to that record and tell me that guy on the first verse ain't T.I. DeCarlo with the super chat says,
This
Coop.
was the first time I heard some cut up. This was the first time some cut up got used. Yeah.
DeCarlo with the super chat says, Coop, Biggie is the greatest of all time, just so you know. Hello. Biggie Smalls is the illest. Let's see. Let me get to these other super chats, and we can kind of segue into where they put Redman and Jadakiss and kind of get into our list as well. I do want to kind of go through the 40s that they released, and not to say anything about E40. It wasn't a pun or anything. I was just saying. Darren Harris with the super chat says, Prodigy said after Illmatic dropped, Mobb Deep had to go back to the drawing board. They was hearing Illmatic during in-stores for Juvenile Hell. A lot of people say that. I've heard Common say that when he heard Illmatic, he had to go back to the drawing board. I heard Fat Joe
send everybody
say that.
back inside.
Yeah, I heard Fat Joe
That's the
say
one that
that
sent
as well.
everybody back inside. Wu-Tang is still rhyming. Like, you can still tell it's 91, 92 MCing going on. They're just lyrically going somewhere back to where KRS and Rakim reside. But then April 94 comes, and it's like, no. Lyrically, like, he's so far ahead of everybody except for Rakim, it seems like, in 94. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, just how it sounds.
And Rakim's on a hiatus at that time, too, so he's not even in the picture, really, to even be able to say, you know what I mean?
I'm realizing something when we're dating the time on this, too. It's not this big hiatus in 94 that people think that it is, because Don't Sweat the Technique came out in 92.
Yeah. It just
And when you
feels
listen-
that way because of how drastically everything sonically changed. You know what I mean?
That's what happened.
Yeah.
But Into the Wu-Tang has something to do with that, too. And also, too, and this is what I mean, you could, It's funny. Don't Sweat the Technique comes out like I think 18 months after Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em. But if you listen to Illmatic, part of why people were so lyrically inclined and on Illmatic is because, well, Don't Sweat the Technique is lyrically not Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em by any stretch of the imagination still. Illmatic is, though, and that's what everybody's talking about. They're like, oh, he sounds like Rakim. Like the last time we heard Rakim, like Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em, Rakim. That's the feeling that he evoked lyrically.
It's funny, man, how drastically everything changed in hip hop. Like 95 and 97 don't sound like a 2-year difference. Yeah, 2 years now sounds like nothing. Shit, we're in 2023 at this point, 2020. We're 3 years off from 2020. But 95 and 97 sound like an 8-year difference now, sonically. You know what I mean?
Well, people got to look at stuff like this. People like Corrupt and Daz, like the Dog Pound, well, they were rapping on records before you were even listening to Nas and Big and J like that.
Yeah. And
they're
see,
on
the
the
thing
Chronic.
is,
That's
man,
92, Mike.
Back then, if your record gets delayed or you get put on the shelf for whatever reason, nigga, you got to go back in the lab and create new music because your shit could get dated real quick. That happened to the Fugees. Like, when the Fugees finally were able to put out Blunted on Reality, they recorded it on some 92, 93 shit. So it finally came out in 94, and their shit sounded old.
It happened fast then. That's why making classics, if you made a classic then, like something that holds to this day, oh, that's part of why it's so special. It all changed so fast. To make a classic then was like super, super hard.
As great as Southern Playalistic is, you could tell a lot of that stuff was recorded in 93, though. You know what I mean? Like, Claiming True and stuff like that sounded more like 93 than it did 94.
Definitely.
DeCarlo
early 93.
Yeah. DeCarlo with the super chat says, speaking of the message, excuse me, where y'all ranking guys like Kool Moe Dee, Grandmaster Cass, and Melly Mel? It's very difficult, man. I think they had Melly Mel and Rev Run, at least Billboard did, and Vibe. They had them at the top part of the top 50. It's very difficult because of the limited amount of material in relation to their peers, but their groundbreaking, steps and, the ground that they broke for hip hop, it's immeasurable. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very tough to really do apples to apples with them. I don't know if the pioneers need to be a whole separate list or something.
Get out my head. I was actually thinking we probably need to do a top 10 or 20 pioneers list.
Yeah.
To kind of help that. But what I would say is that once again, the people are going to have to help us with that, Mike.
Yeah.
Like, definitely. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to finish up these super chats real quick. Mo Better with the super chat says, what about T.I. as a storyteller? I think T.I. is a dope storyteller. And that's why I've always felt like as an all-around MC, I was more impressed with T.I. than Wayne as an all-around MC, but I just think that the work that Wayne has put in is just kind of undeniable. And the steps and levels that he's, reached is just undeniable. But if you want to talk about the most rounded MC, especially in this region, and Coop said this on the show before, thinks that T.I. is the most rounded MC the South has ever seen. And I can see that. Michael Williams with the super chat says, who do you have rated higher on your all-time list, Thought or Lupe? Whose discography is stronger? Man, that's tough. I personally say Thought because of the work with the Roots. But, I mean, that could go either way because I think as a solo artist, clearly Lupe's catalog is stronger. Eric Terrell, the super chat says, do you really think that you can go in a sports bar and the Atlanta with those big songs and wreck shop in 2023? I can get Kendrick and crush y'all. Wow. I'm up for the challenge, Eric Terrell. Are you in Atlanta, Eric Terrell? We could do that. He said we can go in a sports bar in Atlanta and wreck shop with Biggie's records versus Kendrick's records. I'm down to meet that challenge. Because I don't know what Kendrick records you talking about playing, but when I play More Money, More Problems, like, what are you going to play? Or when I play Juicy, what you going to play?
I've been trying to pull up on my folks, actually, about this sports bar down on the south side that my people is at, to try to work out something for us to record and start doing our Friday shows maybe once a month out of, Mike.
That'd be
And
dope.
so if Eric Terrell is serious, I'll do some reaching out this weekend and try to put that together. I did some reaching out, but it's been family time for a couple people because it's the New Year and holidays. And I understand that, but Eric, you do understand I will embarrass you in public. I'll embarrass you in public. You'll have to go home after this. You have to go home and talk to your family after this about this.
I can't.
I always
believe
feel bad,
man
like for the fighter who loses, it has like his wife and like his kids in the audience. It's like, no, fam. It's like, go tell her to go shopping.
It's not a real fight. It's a sport. Now, if you get in a real fight and that happens, yeah, that's a bad look.
I wouldn't do it if I was there. I just wouldn't. I mean, Kendrick against Biggie.
Yeah, in the club. No. You might have a better chance.
We could go in the bodega. He would lose.
You have a better chance in a classroom with Kendrick versus Biggie.
No, he wouldn't. We can go. We can go to the Lyricist Lounge. We can go to the Love Jones Lounge.
You might want to go to Apache Cafe with that. With the incense.
We can Apache it. We can snap. I don't care where you do it. We can do it with green eggs and ham. Like.
Okay, let me go through Billboard's 10 for. All right, so they did the top 50, right? And they released number 50 through 41. Number 50 is Rick Ross. Tell me when to stop, too. Number 49 is Rev Run. Number 48 is Melly Mel. MC Light's 47. Eric Terrell says, with the super chat says, I'm in Conyers, Coop, and Mike Kendrick, I said a sports bar. Okay. Our
homie, I'm in Conyers, fam. Our homegirl, Sequoia, right?
Yeah.
High Spirits Bartender is based out in Conyers. One of my best and dearest friends is out that way. I will pull up on
Coop
you.
about to pull up
on you, fam.
With Biggie Records.
I'll be out there.
Jadakiss at 46. Ice-T at 45.
Can we just pause? So let me get this straight. Jadakiss is at 46.
Mm-hmm.
Roll the list up and throw the list away.
Right? Let me be fair for them, Billboard and Vibe.
Even with the album issues that we have, Mike, 46.
I'm gonna read what they said about Jadakiss. They said
this is what makes me feel like crack in the 80s is back, Mike, the way people are behaving. I want you people to understand what's going on. We have an old president who doesn't know anything and doesn't know what he's talking about or doing. It's definitely like the 80s. People are talking and doing crazy shit like whatever they want. It's definitely like crack in the 80s. There's hyperinflation, and the government is lying to us. It feels like the 80s. Go ahead, Mike.
I don't know when any of that's ever stopped. Here goes a list of some of the people who helped put this together, by the way. I'll put them on the screen, but Carl Lemire, Gail Mitchell, Keith Murphy. I think I know Keith Murphy. Michael Soperano, Datwan Thomas, and Mark Albert. Elbert, not Mark Albert, to be confused with, the legendary commentator. All right, let me read what they said about Jadakiss. Jadakiss' signature laugh, squeals have signaled for decades that a lyrical masterclass was on the way. The Lox frontman fosters his hip-hop breakout on the cosign from the Notorious B.I.G. They stomped his way to prominence with his Timberlands and hard-nosed raps. His lyrical intensity and fearless aggression are battle-tested as he spars with the likes of 50 Cent and Beanie Siegel. I find that very interesting that they even acknowledge that, because those are some of the hardest diss records ever.
Hold on. And you want to know why they know that those records exist? Because they know Jay-Z exists.
Okay.
It's very problematic.
Before single-handedly dismantling Dipset in 2021 in a Versus battle, Jadakiss checks off just about every box as a member of Hip-Hop's Hall of Fame. Though a bona fide classic solo album from the Yonkers legend could have vaulted him inside this list top 20. So, they're saying one classic would have jumped him
From 46.
26 spots.
That means they don't think much about the 25 to 26 people in between, don't they?
Well, I'm interested to hear why Redman's at 42 then. That's what I'm interested to hear. If they think that Jadakiss at number 46, if they think that one classic would have put Jadakiss in the top 20, why is Redman at 42?
That means Redman should be top 20 easy if that's what they're saying. Because lyrically they're comparable, even though I would give Jada the nod. But as far as catalogs are concerned, I mean,
yeah,
that's
and
pretty much Redman. That's Redman easy. Because don't you? How about this? Whatever you may say, What the Album, There's a Dark Side, and Muddy Waters are all better than Jadakiss's best solo project. Correct?
Yeah. Okay. It's not even a question, bro.
Not even a question.
36
Made me want to put Redman higher on our list when I saw the disrespect on this list.
The 36 Chambers with the super chat says Billboard's list was only ever going to be a mainstream list from casual listeners of the genre. It's the same reason that non-heads don't have Thought or Lupe on their list. Hip-hop is a genre that has different circles. Well, Vibe is also co-signing this list as well. So this is Billboard and Vibe together. We're not just going to totally put this on Billboard. Vibe is supposed to add the credibility here.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Vibe is supposed to add the credibility here.
This too is correct. But Lupe and Thought, like, people need to understand this. You have to have all the things that they have and have the records that people know the words to. It's part of the kit. You need it in the kit to get to the top of the mountain. Period.
The Raisin Head with the super chat says, should Jay get more credit for his storytelling abilities because he draws from true experiences and not imagination? Being that we, search for the truth. What are Jay-Z's best storytelling songs?
Meet the Parents.
And that's where everyone's going to go first. But
99 Problems.
Was that a storytelling song or storytelling moment?
I actually love it because it's actually 3 different stories in one. And I love it when artists do stuff like that. And he's one of the people that is talented enough to do that. So, yes.
He showed everything he could do on the Black Album. That's very
I feel like Song Cry is a story, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. No, he's got storytelling capability.
He tells stories different. He uses his conversational ability to tell stories that aren't just like, okay. And he said this in an interview before. He said stories that impressed him were like the Scarface and Biggie, where it was more reality based. He wasn't trying to disrespect Slick Rick, but he was like, Slick Rick's stories are more like just built from imagination, right? And his stories are more so like this actually happened or could have happened. And so I think that his stories end up being more of a conversation where he's telling you like, this happened to me yesterday, even though it's not going to be like one of those, okay, at this point A, at this point B, at this point, he's going to be all over the place with it.
How about this? He's not the, this is what I mean about the hustler in him. Okay, so he's not the detailed storytelling writer that a Biggie or a Nas are. You know what I'm saying? His contemporaries. Yeah. He's not that. He's the guy that like literally kind of stops you and grabs you by the shoulder before you walk up your stoop. And it's like, yo, let me tell you this shit that happened to me right now.
Right.
Like that's his storytelling mode. You know what I'm saying? Like I love that like Biggie called himself like the rap Alfred Hitchcock because his stories are cinematic like that. It's appropriate. Jay shit isn't what I would call cinematic, and that's not to degrade it. It's real interpersonal, almost. It's almost like you don't get the stories from him because the stories are the most personal part because he's making it real to make the story real to you. He's like, no, if I'm going to tell you a story, I'm going to make it real for you, even if it's not real.
So I think he doesn't delve into it often,
but he's capable.
Because it has to be real for him to actually execute it the way he wants to. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm interested to see what they had to say about Redman. I'm skipping over to 42 because of the comment that they made on Jadakiss, which I thought was
they're all over the place already. Pretty certain.
So Number 42, Redman, which is wild. Said Redman's rugged yet humorous rhymes and infectious personality makes him one of hip hop's most beloved MCs. In fact, Reggie Noble led off Eminem's list. I knew they were going to go here. I knew that. I knew this was going to be mentioned. In fact, Reggie Noble led off Eminem's list of the greatest MCs within the ladders of Pump Up Premium on Till I Collapse, with EPMD's Eric Sermon as a mentor. Redman, aka Funk Dr. Spot, exceeded expectations in 1992 when he debuted his studio album What the Album. Became an instant hip hop classic with its early use of funk samples and hilarious punchlines. Redman's popularity skyrocketed when he joined forces with Method Man in the late 90s and released the first of their two albums together in Blackout. They skipped over a lot there, which debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200. Fans couldn't get enough of the weed-smoking, carefree duo's debauchery, which culminated in 2001's cult classic feature film How High, starring the pair and named after one of their enduring 90s hits. They literally just skipped right over Redman's career.
That's because they didn't really listen to the music and they know they couldn't audit it properly to give it its classic status. They don't know Muddy Waters.
How can you talk about Redman and his placement and not mention Muddy Waters?
It's egregious. This is one of those, no, all jokes aside, Mike, and I'm not saying this to like big us up. This is one of those hip hop integrity journalistic moments where you realize they don't have no heads in house.
Yeah. I mean,
you're talking about Redman and you're giving him a ranking and there is no mention of Muddy Waters. This is what I mean, even not about knowing your history. This is a man that literally in a hoopty tailed EPMD while they were on tour just at the opportunity and thought of having a record deal. You get what I'm saying? Like the fact that you as journalists that are doing a ranking about 50 MCs, you know what I mean, in hip hop's 50th year, that means it's a culture thing and a culture piece that you're doing. You're doing a 50 MCs list because it's hip hop's 50th year. Well, that requires you to know your history about these 50 years. So when you're not talking about the lead up to Redman's album, to how what the album is one of the first albums to get 5 mics in the source, to not talk about
what
his
the album
connection
got
with Method Man and How High.
Hold on, what the album got 5? I didn't think the album got 5. Did it? I didn't think it did. I thought it was ranked high, but I didn't think it get rated high, but I don't think it got 5. But what I was gonna say.
Hold on, let me finish right quick.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And no, you're fine because I want you to make your point as well. And then to miss that Haley's comment of a moment that is How High, and then to not mention Muddy Waters is all. It's like this is what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about there are people that are in these rooms that either don't know what they're talking about or don't care or intentionally misappropriating it. But I have a hard problem taking Redman out of our top 20, 42. Oh, how high? How high are these motherfuckers?
This is the thing I don't like.
Was it mushrooms, pills, and weed that you were doing when you made this list? Did you do this in intervals?
Well, you know how close I am to the song How High and how game changing I think that record is, with just 2 MCs who are solo artists coming together to basically, knock it out the park, first swing. To only mention that song in reference to a film that Method Man and Redman did, I think is disrespectful. I understand the Eminem reference. They're speaking to their readers at that point. I get that. But I think that you could talk about Redman's career without even mentioning Blackout, without even mentioning the 2 albums that him and Method Man did together. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, I stand corrected. What the album was 4.5.
I figured it was 4.5. Yeah, but again, I think What the Album, There's a Dark Side, and Muddy Waters were all highly rated. Critically
acclaimed. I'm thinking What the Album was 4.5 mics, and Muddy Waters and There Is the Dark Side were both 4 mics. And truthfully, I think that the only reason that Muddy Waters got 4 mics is because they got into the 4 mic habit because they had handed Reasonable Doubt 4 mics. They had handed It Was Written 4 mics. They had handed ATLiens 4 mics. You know the album they really only handed 4.5 mics to in '96? Low key, people don't realize. Hell on Earth by Mobb Deep got 4.5 mics.
Yep.
Philadelphia Half-Life by The Roots got 4.5 mics. Even The Score got 4 mics, Mike.
Wow.
They were not handing out mics in '96. Philadelphia Half-Life got 4.5, and Hell on Earth got 4.5. I don't think anybody else got that.
Jay Short with the super chat says, in my heart, Jada is top 10, but we have to be fair. Jada not only doesn't have classic albums, he doesn't have classic songs. And his weed plate ratio to high for guys is too high for guys that he's worked with. I think that's fair. But I do think that, the longevity that Jada has exhibited and how his style fits with any and everything, and he's gotten better over the years at what he does, that stands for something. Now, it's hard to put him over some guys that do have classic albums, yes. You know what I mean? Like, and have done it. But, again, there's not many people who've done what he's done either. And I'm one of those people who's always knocked Jada for not having the classic album that meets the expectations that he has based on his skill set. But in 2023, we have to look back and say, you know what? How many people are rhyming at the level that he's rhyming on from his era and have been on so many important records and been such an important standout on those records? And all in all, if we talk about 3 of his best solo albums, are they that bad? Or are we just mad because he didn't make a Doggy Style or Get Rich or Die Trying? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, what you ask is for people to perform what their talent says they should perform like.
Right.
And so what you'll find is that Kiss is probably the hardest person to rate, even beyond Method Man. And listen to what I'm saying. Method Man's classic moments, they're classic. Cream, How High, I'll Be There For You. The Rock. No, when he goes high, he goes all the way. He goes Barry Bonds into McCovey when he goes. The thing with Kiss is that you see that level talent exist and you see him perform, and the only time you do not see the performance transcend itself into that top 10 stature is when it's time for him to make a solo album. And that is an issue in relationship to who his contemporaries are, his MCs, because he has everything but that. Like, All About the Benjamins is one of the biggest and best rap songs ever. Not only did he write Puff's part, but he is on there. And this is what I mean about, like, those moments. Well, even though he's on there and even though he wrote Puff's part, Big and Kim are the parts. You get what I'm saying?
And it's funny you say that because I was going to say something similar, but I was going to go to Money, Power, and Respect. And I think he has a dope verse on there.
He has the best lyrical verse on there.
Yeah, but when that other guy comes in, you're like,
I sneeze on tracks and bless you. I'm special. And if you like working out, then I'm going to stretch you.
Hustling is dead, but we still make bread. Turn spots in the bakeries,
to give back bread.
Y'all said my money's dead, but it's in the feds. Because when the folks come, the dogs can't get a cent. My story is self-explanatory that I'm the hottest thing in the street.
And you ain't got nothing for me.
But when the other guy comes in, this is a beat that I could freak and just drop the real. Oh my God. It's like, who is that guy? And
so that's what
not
I mean.
To mention,
and you know who he is?
Not to mention, not to cut you off, not to mention, a couple months later, that guy comes with a Get At Me Dog. That guy comes with a Stop Being Greedy. That guy comes with a Rough Riders anthem. And we're looking at Jada like, I know you got something for us, right?
Well, see, and here's what Jada has. So Jada can take that guy that got him on Money, Power, Respect, and he can come back on Blackout later that year with Jay and that guy on the same song, and he can out-rap both of them. And that's pretty much Blackout. Blackout is an example of what his career has become. Whoever your favorite rapper is, they get on a record with him, they're in trouble. He can body you because he put Jay and X in a body bag on that record on the same time. And he went first and they still didn't come with nothing better. So he's like that as an MC. He can literally body your favorite rapper on a verse and it's not a problem. But can you make an album like that?
With that being said, should we be looking at Jada more in a vacuum? And the second part of my question, with that being said, do we need to add more points for songs and album making? Because a lot of MCs can have a lot of those things, but it seems like the most difficult thing to do as an MC is to make great music, individual songs, and a classic album.
See, this is the thing. I think when you when you do that, when you give the album making part of it more credence, and this is where I went back to the voice thing. It's like, well, you got to think about all the components that go into making a great album. And so how can you say that, well, this album's great? It's like, well, you want to know It Takes a Nation Millions is great? Well, Chuck's message is great. Yeah. Are the songs great? Yeah. You want to hear his voice. It's a mixture of all the things that go together.
And the production.
Oh, the production's stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know how to divvy up the pie properly. It's like, do you think that the album making process really matters that much more in this? Because I would tell you, if that's the case, then people like Jay's shit is about to change. You get what I'm saying? Because the album's not holding. That's what I'm saying. When you just hold it to the albums, well, then it comes down to how the albums are holding. And so it's going to keep on switching itself when you give the albums more weight. Because what was a classic, like the way that we felt as a public and a populace about Volume 2, from like 98 to I'd say about 2008, wouldn't you say it's different now when we go back on it? We go back on it now, and it's like, don't nobody really play the stuff from Volume 2 like that when they want to hear Classic Jay do that.
You're right.
And so that would take his ranking lower. Mike, that's his biggest impact and selling moment.
But I think even if you take Volume 2 out of
when you take that away, you know what I'm saying?
When you take that away from Jay, he still has Reasonable Doubt, The Blueprint, he has the Black Album, and he still has American Gangster. And you'd be hard-pressed to find a bunch of people that can match up against those alone. Not to mention the Volume 1s and the Volume 2s hanging in the wings like that.
But if he doesn't have Volume 2, everything that you're speaking about after that doesn't really happen the way that it does. We don't know. You get what I'm saying? That changed the trajectory of everything. How about this? Does somebody like Kanye go to another camp if not for Volume 2? You have to look at it like that.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a domino effect.
Right. Well, he became the man in that moment to a lot of people and into the populace and the public's eyes on some rap shit. And so does an aspiring Kanye and Just Blaze go elsewhere if he's still making Streets is Watching, an Imaginary Player, and The Evils? You get what I'm saying?
That was my point in even bringing up his hits the other day, because those are the records that made him Jay-Z and make him, from a large populace, one of the 2 to 3 greatest MCs of all time. It's not the stuff that, even though the stuff that we hold him high for has a big foundational, reason for why he's held so high. But from a mainstream level, and like you said, are the Just Blazes and Kanye's and all of that coming into his camp, the Beanie Siegels coming into his camp based on those other records? I don't think so. Volume 2 is very important.
I would tell you the truth. Here's what I'd tell you about Jay's singles. Let's say we were doing a versus and you gave me Jay. And this is what I mean. If we were actually doing a versus where it's like, no, you picking Jay's 20 best records. It's like, I don't know if any singles outside of the singles on Reasonable Doubt that would make the top 20, except for maybe Mike. I mean, I know PSA is making it. But Dirt on Your Shoulder and PSA are the only singles that I can even think of that even would qualify as his 20 best songs, because his album shit, Mike.
I'm
his
gonna play
catalog,
Give It.
like his actual rap shit.
I'm gonna play Give It to Me over Dirt Off Your Shoulders.
I feel
Personal
you. No,
opinion.
no, no. Okay, I like Give It to Me. No, no, no. I'm
Um,
cool with Give It to Me and
I love
PSA.
Do It Again, but it probably wouldn't make my 20 to play.
No, do it against that top 20. Is Big
Um,
Pimpin' top 20?
I mean, if I did a Jay-Z versus and didn't play Big Pimpin', I don't think people would miss it.
And
You know
that's
what I
my.
mean? But
Can I tell
yeah,
you,
I
that's my
might not
problem with
play it.
his singles is that if you were to go down his singles, you would find yourself asking yourself, should I play this? Because I
Yeah.
know he has better records.
Yeah, no. They're not his best records. I would say another single that he put out there that I don't think I would play Encore. I definitely wouldn't play 96 Bonnie, I mean 03 Bonnie and Clyde, excuse me.
You're not playing no Excuse Me Miss in the verses, and I love Excuse Me Miss.
I
That's
love
not playing
Excuse
in
Me
no
Miss
verses.
too, but I'm probably not going to play it.
It's gonna kill you if you do that.
No, you're right. I'm trying to think. Like, what song is such a powerhouse where I'm like, yeah, that's got to be played? I mean, Song Cry is technically a single, but again, you talk about the big singles. You know what I'm saying? I would play Song Cry.
I don't think Song Cry is one of his 20 best songs, though.
I think depending on the situation, I might have Song Cry sitting there, like, you know, as an alternate, depending on who I'm going against and what's being played. It might be a good matchup in that way, but yeah, it's not going to be one that I lead off on.
Okay, so this is what I mean about Jay's best stuff is not his singles. Anybody Jay would do a versus with would be somebody comparable to him.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the people comparable, if he were to play a Can I Get Her and a Hard Knock Life and a Money Cash Hose, a Nigga What, Nigga Who, like if he were to play that against Biggie and Tupac singles, blasted.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? A Nas or a Rakim fan is going to go to the rap shit, blasted. You feel what I'm saying? You play Can I Get Her? It's like, man, you better take this Nas is like. Same year. You get what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you playing Can I Get Her? Nas is like, we're done. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like his singles. Now, here's the thing with that shit. If you were to go to Big and Pop and be like, oh, well, how do you want it? It's like, oh, well, I don't know. Or One More Chance. It's like, oh, well, you can't play Nas is like no more. You can't play No The Ledge no more. Because them records is big enough and strong enough and great enough that it's like, oh, well, now I got to play one of my big records. Now Nas got to play If I Rule the World. Well, If I Rule the World ain't better than One More Chance. It might be better than How Do You Want It? You feel what I'm saying?
What does Jay play for?
Like
what does Jay play for? No More Pain from Tupac.
You don't know.
Damn, you got to go that high?
Yes.
Jeez. Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, you still might not win that. Khalil with the super chat says, understand this is more of an East Coast centered chat, but West Coast is reverend as well as one of the greatest. But Dub C is revered as one of the greatest storytellers on the West Coast.
Okay.
It's All Bad, Something to Live, Kill a Habit, The Twist, F with the House Party. You know what? I'm with you on that. Dub C is a great storyteller. So was Spice One.
I must say, I love the West. You want to know what I was actually thinking when I was listening to the Offset and Hit Boy single that dropped? I was thinking to myself, it's like, I could tell, you know, it's kind of funny. I realized something. Hit Boy's been working with Nas. You know, Nas is Queensbridge. So Hit Boy's been on his rap shit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But Hit Boy's from Cali. And when I heard the Offset Hit Boy record, I was like, yo, I hear the Cali in this.
Yeah, I could definitely hear the Cali in that record too.
I literally had a flashback, Mike. I used to live in a city called Corona in Riverside. So shout out to my West Coast people. I used to live in Corona, Circle City in Riverside. And I was thinking like, my homie Junior was an essay. He was like one of those like essays, like one of those Friday essays, like him and the homies was always hanging out front in the neighborhood, making the cars bounce and tricking, like doing all that Cali shit. It's like, I was like, the homie Junior, when I be pulling into the neighborhood, like from the bakery, I used to go to the bakery in the morning, go get some cannolis. The homie Junior in the essays would be playing something like this and like smoking some weed out front. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then they play some Tupac and like tat somebody up or something. You know, the essays out there is different. But it got that kind of vibe and that flow to it. It really gave me like a Cali flashback. And I was like, oh yeah, Hit Boy is from Cali, you know? And the Cali came out on that track and that record, and it's with a Southern cat. So I found it to be like a very like a interesting blend.
It was.
I thought the song was more something along the lines that you would like too. What'd you think of it?
I liked it. You know what I'm saying? Like I like when artists are having fun, especially, you know, with what Offset's probably going through right now. Yeah, I think the best thing to do is to try to go out there and try to have as much fun as possible. And I like where Hit Boy was taking it. You know, it's interesting that he's coming off of, you know, this 4-peat with Nas. So a lot of the people who, you know, rock with what he's been doing with Nas might not really dig this in that way, but I like it. And like you said, I can really hit a West Coast.
I thought you would enjoy it. When I heard this record, I heard you enjoying it.
Yeah, I like it. Melvin Wright with the super chat says, what the album wasn't 5 mics. Yeah, we've already investigated that. Yeah, but 4.5 is high, too, especially in those days.
Eric 1990, getting 4.5 in 1990?
Was it 92, I think, right?
Redman came out 92? No, hold on. 92, because There's a Dark Side is 94. Yeah, because he dropped them every 2 years. 92, 94.
Yeah. Eric Terrell says, if Jada's top 10, MJG is top 10. Make it make sense. Jay Short with the super chat says, yes, Mike, top 5 Dead or Alive was that bad. Jada's had DMX, Primo, Rough Riders, Timbo, the Neptune, Styles, Puffy, Def Jam, and still no classics. How much more?
That's an interesting way of looking at it. You can look at it from that perspective if you want to. You're entitled to that.
Yeah, definitely. DeCarlo with the super chat says, all this Jada talk got me thinking back to the verses that he did with Fab. I think Fab should have done better and was very slept on in these conversations.
No, he's not. No, Jada bodied Fab, and that was what was going to happen.
What I was gonna say in reference to the previous comment, what was it? It was all the people that Jada has worked with. I think that's a fair assessment.
He's bodied a lot of those guys, though.
He's been bodied. He's very tough to rate.
He's tough to rate, because how about this? It's like he'll out-rap Jay and DMX on Blackout. But Big and Kim are out-rapping him on All About the Benjamins. Nas is out-rapping him on Show Discipline. You could argue he's out-rapping Nas on the Major Look remix stuff.
Okay, this is what I'm going to say, and follow me with this.
He's out-rapping Freddie on Black Illuminati, even though he's only got one verse.
Follow me with this one, people. Because I think that coming out the gate, nobody had a bigger buzz going solo than Prodigy and Jadakiss at the time. Both of those guys' solo efforts were so highly anticipated that, you know, it was easy to be disappointed. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no way that they could fulfill those that anticipation. Prodigy especially, because he's coming off all the Mobb Deep work. But Jada, the buzz was high. This is what I'm going to say. And I know that they had all their contract disputes with Bad Boy, but I feel like Jada had a better chance of making a classic out the gate if he would have been with Bad Boy and had that team of people making that album with him. Because if you look at Bad Boy at that time, and period, I mean, even if you were Black Rob, rest in peace, or G-Dep, like, you were going to get quality product. You know what I'm saying? Like, there really was, even the Shine album, there really wasn't a Bad Boy album that was put out where we was like, man, that's a weed play. You know what I mean?
The Shine album, the production was stellar.
I mean, and he had some bangers on there too. Bad Boy is a classic.
Oh, Bad Boy's Anthem with Barrington Levy? Oh, yeah.
Let's look at the singles. Too. Let's look at the singles for these Bad Boy albums. We look at Bad Boy, and then, of course, you know, you had Bonnie and Shine, all that stuff. Boom. Black Rob. Whoa. G-Dep. Special Delivery. I don't know, man. Jada might have, should have, you know, as a solo artist, I mean, I guess they couldn't stay with Bad Boy, but his solo album, I mean, it would have been next step above Harlem World is just off jump, just being with Bad Boy. One thing you can say about Puff, this nigga knows how to put together an album, man.
No, he knows how to put together a debut album specifically.
It's specifically, and he can market you in
Specifically
that
your
debut
album, and specifically the marketing that goes behind it. So there's something there. Because here's what I'll tell you, and I've always said this, and it's not because of personal ties. Black Rob's Life Story is better album-wise than anything Jadakiss has ever made album-wise.
No, you're right. It is. I bought that album back in the day.
Life Story is the shit, Mike.
It is. It's complete.
It's got Whoa. It's got Can I Live with the Locks. It's got Espacio with Lil' Kim. It's got I Dare You. It's got Jasmine. It's got Down the Line Joint. It's got Looking at Us with CeeLo. It's got the record Life Story, which is dope. No, he's got joints on there.
He put I Love You Baby on there too. I know that was
I Love You Baby is on there too. Yeah, no. Life Story is that shit, Mike. Life Story got bangers up and down it.
Bad Boy will make you a complete album. You know what I mean? And I think that's what people were looking for from somebody like Jada.
Craig Mack's first album is dope too, Mike.
Well, there you go. Yeah. And
Can I Get Down?
There's two things you're going to get with a Bad Boy album. Well, three things. It's going to be well produced. You're going to have a hit single. And you're going to have a complete album. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the three things we know you're going to get from a Bad Boy album. And I think those three things, well, at least two out of the three specifically, are the things that people say that Jadakiss was missing in a solo album.
Think about this. Like, Craig Mack made Flavor in Your Ear, Mike. Yeah. That was the rap song in 1994, according to the source.
Flavor in Your Ear was bigger than all of the songs that Biggie put out at that time.
It was bigger than all of Biggie's records. It was bigger than Juicy. It was bigger than Big Papa. And then when Big jumped on the remix, how about this? Big jumping on the remix is one of his lyrical coming out parties.
Yeah. That
when he said niggas is mad, I get more butt than ashtrays. He was like, who that? Hold on, who that? That wasn't me already to die.
The fast way, ski mask way.
Wait,
yo, I remember where I was at when I seen that shit, man.
That's my favorite Puff ad lib, but damn a nigga tote. What you tote?
More guns than roses.
More guns than roses.
Speaking out their boots.
Shaking in their boots. A visible bully.
Like the gooch. What? Disappeared. Oh my God. You whacked me. Take your rhymes back to the factory. I see the gimmicks, the whack lyrics. The shit is depressing, pathetic. Please forget it.
Okay, so hold on. Let's go to pattern and rhyme style. When people talk about the flow, the delivery, this is 94. So when he's saying vamoose, you whack to me. Take them rhymes back to the factory. I see the gimmicks, the whack lyrics. The shit is depressing. Nobody's rhyming and putting words together like this and styling it like this. That's like when he's saying stuff like that, people have to understand niggas did not rap and piece words together or cadence like that. I see the gimmicks, the whack lyrics, the shit is depressing, pathetic. Please forget it.
Bouncing around that
style you're admiring. You know what I mean? No, he's different. He was different. Like, that's what I mean. Like, cats didn't rhyme like that before.
Michael Williams with the super chat says, I know I'm late, but I just wanted to say it's refreshing to see two major publications, Rolling Stone and Vibe, rank KD3 above Mr. Morale. Yeah, you guys did that, because if people weren't out here causing a ruckus, they would have done what they normally do. So you guys are creating change. DeCarlo with the super chat says, y'all keep beating around the bush with Jay. Where do y'all rank him honestly? Because he's too high listening to how y'all talk about him.
Can I tell you the truth? On my personal list, Mike, I told you I always have him somewhere between 5 and 7 on my personal list. So on a personal list, he's 5 to 7 to me. That's just the way that it is.
5 to 7.
And okay. I don't take it back, and I don't apologize. This is my only thing. And anybody that wants to talk about it, I'll tell you why. Because even with that being said, Mike, it's like when they were all here, like 1996.
That's fair.
In 1996,
Nas was still
Mike,
Nas, yeah.
Reasonable Doubt is his best album, right? It was written as not Nas's best album to people, right?
Yeah.
Biggie doesn't have an album, right?
Yeah.
Pac made All Eyes on Me, which is his first real double rap album.
96 is Pac.
He's not considered to be a better lyricist than any of these guys. Storyteller, MC, album maker, song maker, hit maker, on nowhere on that measure in 96 when they're all out, and that's his seminal work and still his best piece of work. Was he ever considered to be better than those guys? And it's like, well, if you made your best shit while they were alive, and you was here too, and you weren't considered to be better than them, at anything. It's just hard for me over a course of time to give you a title ahead of them when you haven't made anything better than them since two of them have been gone, and your other competition beat you in a battle and is outpacing you and distancing you in a race that you said that you were going to beat him in. So you're 4 to me at a bare minimum, and then you get to Rakim, and that's where you fall to 5. And my personal preference is listening to Scarface and Ghostface, so he'd be somewhere between 5, 6, and 7.
I think this is, I mean, just trying to be objective here. His ability to make hits and make great album records and how long he's been able to do it and the skill level that he raps at is what puts him where I have him and, you know, where I would have him on the objective list as well. Now, if you ask me, like, you know, my personal favorites, I think that Rakim's a better MC. But it's very tough for me to make a Rakim argument over Jay based on Jay's longevity, right? And based on Jay's ability to continuously change with the game and change in different eras and mean different things to different people in different eras. I think that's what kind of separates him.
No. When you say that, this is what I mean about how to rate it properly and actual the separation that's going on now. Listen to what I'm saying. Those things that you're talking about, you're frozen up too, bro.
Oh, okay.
Those things that you're talking about, Mike, like all that versatility and transcending eras, this is what I mean about how you need to back up on it a little bit. What we're really finding out is that all that transcendental work and material and agility that you're talking about, Mike, the music didn't hold up as well. That's why I was telling you on the show the other day, it's like, when you're saying you can't put him ahead of Rakim, I'm like, well, no, I think you can, because it's like, well, Paid in Full or Reasonable Doubt. It's like, oh, Paid in Full. It's like Volume 1 or Follow the Leader. Oh, Follow the Reader. It's like Let the Rhythm Hit Him, Volume 2. It's like, oh, Let the Rhythm Hit Him. When it was happening, Mike, we didn't really look at it that way. But if you come back now and start looking at it, it's like, well, if we hold in Reasonable Doubt in the annals that we're holding it in, and we hold Paid in Full higher, and this guy came first, and he's made, like, think about this. Does Jay-Z have an Eric B as president? Because my answer to you is hell fuck no.
You feel what I'm
saying? So it's like, what does he really have over Rakim? Because when Rakim can pull up on Busta Rhymes' album in 2020 and sound timeless.
I'm confident.
If we're listening to Jay on 444 sounding like he is semi-retired, you know what I'm saying?
I'm confident in the 20-song verses. If I had Rakim, that I could beat somebody who has Jay-Z records. I'm confident.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like if you pick Jay versus Rakim, and you take Jay, it's like I'm okay with you taking Jay, fam. It ain't about to go the way that you think. It's like you can't beat my 10 to 12 best Rakim records, really. It's like that Annie shit ain't gonna play against No to Ledge.
I'm not playing Annie. Like, I'm gonna have to go straight.
And those records aren't better either, though, Mike. That's what I'm saying.
I know. I'm gonna have to go straight DOA. Not DOA. I might not play that. I'm gonna have to go straight.
I'm just gonna play something off Paid in Full, Mike.
PSA. I'm gonna have to go PSA. You don't know.
Something off Paid in Full.
I'm gonna have to play Heart of the City type stuff.
I can beat all those records with Paid in Full records.
No, you're right.
That's what I'm saying. I can beat all of those records with Paid in Full records. It's like
My Melody.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Eric B as president. I'm gonna play I Know You Got Soul. I'm gonna play Ain't No Joke. I'm gonna play Paid in Full. I'm gonna play Microphone Fiend. I'm gonna play Follow the Leader. I'm gonna play No to Ledge. I'm gonna play In the Ghetto. It's like no. Jay shit is great. Think about this. It's like, where's his In the Ghetto?
That'd be Hard Knock Life. Play Ghetto versus Hard Knock Life. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says the DLC documentary is in the works of 2023. Given his classic album and the impact of his pen with other artists, where should we rank him? That's a very interesting question. I don't know. Again, I mean, we're talking about one album, and that's the problem when we're talking about ghostwriting. It's like it's so many things that we just don't know. We don't know.
Okay.
You know?
This is the problem with ranking albums so high. So take somebody like the DLC. No One Can Do It Better is a classic, Mike.
It is.
I played No One Can Do It Better last year. It's still a classic. Listen to what I'm saying. Jadakiss doesn't have a No One Can Do It Better. Do you think the DOC deserves to be ranked higher than Jadakiss?
No, unfortunately. But do I think that if the
But he's
DLC,
proven himself as a
yeah,
songwriter and a hit maker,
yeah,
that he's actually in a vacuum probably better than Jadakiss, actually, which seems crazy to say. But if you actually look at his MC capabilities, his lyrical skills, his song making ability, and then you listen to the stuff that he's contributed to while he did not have his voice.
yeah, we know what we know, and
You know
unfortunately,
what I know? The DOC is not to be
it's
played
tough
with
to
when you can rap,
prove.
right?
Sometimes it's tough to prove what you know, but it just wasn't proven. You know what I mean? And I
A lot
know.
of people feel like the DOC was going to take Rakim's crown when Rakim, like, that's how the DOC was. People understand that. It's like he had, that's how people felt about his song making, lyrical, and he had Dre and Easy behind him.
Now, do you think? And I say this, just honest question. Do you think if that never happened to DOC, does Dre actually go out there and get a Snoop Dogg and put
Absolutely not.
everything?
He has the DOC.
So yeah, I think that that. I
The
mean
DOC
that
is the star on
happened.
the Chronic now.
Yeah.
And then the Chronic sounds different because then I don't know if you get the Dog Pound if you don't get Snoop, because I don't know if you get Nate Dogg, Daz, and Corrupt specifically. So I think you might get DOC, Dre, and Warren G maybe, and so it might be a little NWA niggas for life-ish.
Interesting how certain events can change everything.
You want to know what? I have to reach out to Chris the Glove. I'm doing that tonight.
Okay.
Because you want to know what? The DLC shit, especially with the documentary coming. No, the Glove was there for all of that.
I would love to hear his.
When people are looking at Let Me Ride and they're seeing Snoop and Dre in the front, you know who that is in the back, right?
That's Chris the Glove?
No, that's the DOC.
Oh, yeah. He's everywhere. Yeah.
So he's there. He's there. And I'm pretty certain the Glove is there too. We need to reach out to Glove and maybe see if he wouldn't mind coming. That's the real interview that we need to do, because he's already reached out to us and shown us some love, is reach out to Chris the Glove.
I'm excited
and see if he's willing to just share some stories. But I'm gonna shoot him an email tonight, Mike, and see, and we'll do it on his terms, whatever he wants to speak of. Because somebody like that just has a wealth of knowledge about so many things. So maybe we can just find out what's off limits and what works for him and set it up.
Yeah, probably break it down in segments or whatnot. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, it's we are a platform, a lot of, and I'm not throwing any type of shade or whatever. People do whatever they do, you know what I'm saying? Get your money and all of that. But this podcast and this platform altogether is more of a culture piece. And I think that there's a lot of knowledge that can be assimilated from people who've been around certain epic times in music. Me personally, as a person who loves, music and loves history and loves culture, I really hate to see when some interviewers go out there and they get somebody who has a wealth of knowledge, who can really be shedding some light on certain things that happen historically, musically, and they get them there on that seat and they just start talking about bullshit, man. We're not, there's plenty of places for that, but I think with somebody like Chris the Glove, I think there's a real learning opportunity there to learn a lot more about him and his role, and just to learn a lot more about production, MCing, and just the industry as a whole. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Mad Max in the Super Chat says, from what I'm told, Jada became such a phenomenon that he was sought out by everyone, and he tried making songs for all circles, which hurt his projects. But you know what, Mad Max? You know who was able to do that seamlessly? Puffy. And it's so funny. Sometimes the grass.
Evidence, no. And if you want some evidence, go listen to Ready to Die.
Listen to Life Story. Listen. Sometimes the grass, and again, I'm not sitting here co-signing whatever happened financially. I'm just talking musically. Sometimes the grass is greener on the other side, and what you really needed, you already had. And
I think when they saw I'm gonna tell you what happened with the Locks and what happened with Kiss when X did what he did.
Oh yeah, that changed everything.
That he did it.
No, you're right.
That changed the way everybody felt.
Yeah, I feel.
And you have to understand. Imagine it changing the way everybody felt. Imagine witnessing that. Ain't secondhand smoke, Mike. You in the room catching contact.
DMX took the shiny suit out. That was what they were on. You know what I mean?
He took them out. And like your man's took you out. But here's the thing about it.
He didn't try to. It just happened that way.
But here's the thing about it, is that Puff was smart enough to combat that if he would have had Jada. Mm-hmm. Like, he would have been like, no, I'm going to do for you what I did for Big. We're going to get you some Who Shot Yous and some Everyday Struggles, but we're going to get you some Juicy and some Big Papa. Like, how about this?
Puff would have had a whole game.
He couldn't do a Juicy or a Big Papa. He'd be like, I'm going to get you some Warning. Get you the what?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no. You're going to bang out here. Because DMX banged out there. Get at me, dog, and stop being greedy. Or not made for radio.
No.
Let's say that again. But DMX made them on... You know what I mean?
Puff could have had Jada on some What's Beef, Fucking You Tonight type stuff, with an album with all of those things on it. And even if the album wasn't like, a top-down, hip-hop classic, I think it could have been revered or commercially revered like Harlem World was for Mace at the very least.
Because here's the problem.
Even though Harlem World's not like in the echelon of classic albums in our conversations, Harlem World took over 97.
But can I tell you the real problem with Kiss the Game Goodbye, though? And this is just the reality of the matter. And people really don't want to address this. Well, people have to understand the singles are Put Your Hands Up, Knock Yourself Out, and We Gon' Make It. That is not a bad single lineup at all.
Mm-mm.
It's not. It's actually pretty goddamn dope. It's actually pretty high level. Mike, what's the street classics on Kiss the Game Goodbye? This Kiss.
Well, I would say, Ain't None of Y'all Better.
Right.
That's just crazy.
So we got one. So this Kiss debut
but
album,
I think what
street classic?
I think what they used...
To Show Discipline a classic to you?
Nah. I think really what they used as a street classic, though, Coop, was We Gon' Make It. Like, they were using their single as a street classic, and it kind of
that's the classic. That's just the classic. I'm talking about.
But it was used as a street classic, and so was Put Your Hands Up.
Okay, let me phrase it to you differently. Where's the Machine Gun Funk? Where's the what?
Yeah.
Where's the Everyday Struggle? Where's the Unbelievable?
Because I think the thing is, Coop, the problem is the only real single in that era was really Knock Yourself Out. Where the other two were more street songs that were masquerading as singles.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, We Gon' Make It as a classic. Now, where would you put something like How about this? You think We Gon' Make It's better than Warning?
No, it's not. But I think it's still his best song.
That's a problem. That's a problem when Unbelievable and The What are on an album like that.
Yeah.
And Everyday Struggles on an album like that, and you can't even do Warning. So when you're talking about, Puff is the problem, that was never my problem with Kiss the Game Goodbye. My problem was that the street lyricists didn't give me classic street records.
What do you mean Puff is the problem?
Nas and DMX on the album, and it still didn't happen.
What do you mean Puff is the problem?
No, I didn't say Puff is a problem. My problem isn't Puff.
Oh, gotcha.
My problem, but Puff is not the problem on it. That's what I'm saying. He's saying it's like, he needed Puff. It's like, no. Them street records not classic enough is what I'm telling you. Like Show Discipline, as much as I love Show Discipline, that's not classic enough.
Well, the one thing that
Put Your Hands Up's not classic enough. We gonna make it classic.
I think the one thing that Puff is useful for, and he's useful for a lot of things, but one of the big things that I think that album and many of his other albums may lack that Puff could have really helped with is Puff will tell you when it's not it. You know what I mean? Like, Puff's not going to just sit there and let you continue to record mid-records. He's going to tell you, no, we ain't got it yet. We're going to go in there again.
The album was on hold until he made Whoa, Mike. The album was done. All those other bangers we talking about were in the can, and Puff was like, nah, we need something that's like light it on fire. So you were right like that. Like, how about this? The way Kiss the Game Goodbye sounds, Puff wouldn't have let Kiss drop that album.
Nope. And he knows the anticipation and everything.
And he would have scaled some of the tracks back. He you got the fam on here too much. When I did Biggie's first album, it's just Method Man on there.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. Hold on. Craig Mack's first album? Ain't nobody on Craig Mack's first album. Like, Puff knows how to keep it concise, keep it tight, keep it in-house.
He knows how to make an album, man.
He knows how to make an album. He knows how to make a debut album specifically.
Yep.
Same thing with Harlem World. Notice this. Where Big at on Harlem World?
No, you're right.
Yeah,
You know
Puff know what he doing.
when he finally got the reins with Mary, look at what they did. He knows how to make an album.
When he actually, how about this? When he actually got Mary in his own hands. See,
Mm-hmm.
Mary's first album is full of hits. But when she made an album with Puff, it's the classic.
Exactly.
Like, don't nobody talk about What's the 411 the way we talk about My Life. And if you actually look at it, What's the 411 has not only bigger hits, but more hits. We don't talk about it at all.
Yep. Puff know how to make an album, man. And
Puff know how to make an
and
album.
everyone says that that's what Jada's missing is an album. Well, my mind tells me musically, like I said, I ain't talking about the business. Unfortunately, he ran from the one situation that would have been his best situation in a debut.
And it sounds like he gave a lot of his best stuff already, too. What y'all want to do? Want to be ballers, shot callers, brawlers. How you think he feel every time that comes on and people is chanting Puff's part and it's the most popular part that people know and it's really his shit? You get what I'm saying? And it's like, no, fam. Like, you get supposed to ride that train a little bit longer, maybe.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, you tell Styles and Chic, we're going to do the Locks album on Rough Riders. Staying right here.
But you know what happened, though, Coop? You hit the nail on the head. DMX happened. That's what made them totally...
I know what happened.
They said, you know what?
That's what made Styles and Chic want to go. Like, I can always remember, they always talked about, well, we always take a vote. And it's three-man group. So it's always, do not tell me that Jada Kiss was the one voting to go over there. Do not tell me that, no, Chic and Styles for certain. No. Styles for certain was not. Styles threw a chair at the nigga Puff. So Styles is not with the shit.
I always felt
and
like...
the way Chic is about the rap shit or not with it sometimes, oh, no. Them the two of the three that voted like be out, and Kiss is a soldier and a loyal dude like a soldier is supposed to be. And so roll with the home team that you walked in the door with. But the businessman in him should have been like, pause, Locks album, Rough Riders, anything y'all want, need. My solo album, these next three joints with Puff. Because here's the thing, Puff still, Justin Combs Publishing is still on the Lock shit. You feel what I'm saying? So Puff was still eating off them anyway. It's like, this nigga gonna eat off us anyway. I'm gonna at least help settle this debt up over here. That would have been the business of it. I'm gonna settle this debt. I'm gonna settle this Locks debt up through my solo shit. We're going to do the Lock shit on Rough Riders. We're going to keep this copacetic. And that would have helped make the Locks bigger stars because it would have put Kiss in even more of a bigger frontman position. And it would have made their albums more notarized on Rough Riders. So, like, the whole Puff thing and DMX and how it got played is a misstep and awful, too. Nothing against Kiss, Styles and Chic. Ain't nobody DMX. DMX.
But see, this is the thing, too. I think that a lot of the skills that Puff really has and that he's a genius for, I think they get overlooked. I think people look at Puff outside looking in as if he's just some flashy dude who just talks a lot and whatever. No, Puff's a genius. Puff will put together you a great album. And I think that when you jump ship so early, like what you just said, I think they were even disregarding that skill set that Puffy had. They were disregarding the fact that, yeah, this man actually put together Ready to Die. This man actually put together Life After Death. And we see Biggie for what he is, but Biggie's not who he is as an all-around artist if not being pushed and challenged by someone like Puff who saw the vision for everything Big could be.
Now, in fairness to them, and I'm glad that you brought up Big, this is the other side of it. And they've always said this. Well, you know, signing the Bad Boy, that's like signing to the 95-96 Bulls. They got Big. They got Mace. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. No. It's a whole deal. And here's what happened. They got on a championship team, end of the championship team run, and they didn't want to stay for the rebuild. But about who Puff is as a businessman, if ever you should have stayed for a rebuild, and I say this respectfully, and God bless his soul, and I think he's an underrated storyteller and MC. I don't hold Black Rob in the Racine that I hold Kiss in. And so if you're telling me Kiss would have stayed, and I know what Life Story sounds like, oh, that's all the evidence that you need, really, if you look at Black Rob's life story about why Kiss should have stayed, because Life Story was the regrouping of Bad Boy and the comeback, and it was a hell of one. And for Black Rob to pull that off, to be as unheralded as he was, as great as he was, to be as unheralded as he was, without any of the pub or notoriety or the records that Kiss was getting. Like, Black Rob ain't on no John Blaze or no Band from TV.
No, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? He not rapping next to Biggie on Last Days. He's not even on Life After Death at all.
He got Whoa, and it's a classic.
And so if you're telling me that some of the energy that would have put into Rob would have went to Kiss, oh, we talking about a whole nother career he would have had, Mike.
Totally, 100%.
Whole nother career.
The Raising Head with the super chat says Jada and Black Thought are the KC Haley of hip hop. I do what I do better than people who are ranked higher than me. Solo work didn't match. Yeah, I mean, but again, I think that what we're kind of uncovering from this conversation, though, is it takes more people than the solo artists to actually make a solo artist, right? And I think that Kiss really went out there on some solo dolo shit, and this was the result. DeCarlo with the super chat says, Coop, to be fair, I think popular opinion would say Rakim isn't over Jay for the same reason I believe he shouldn't be over Tupac. I know I'm really behind on these super chats. Dame252 says, what do you say to people who hold Jay's entendre game so high and being the most versatile? I think his entendre game should be considered very high. I think he's one of the best, if not the best at it. His versatility, though, seems to lie in working with other people and adapting to what they do.
He's the best entendre rapper ever.
I think so.
And with that being said, it's not a one-trick pony type of thing. But that's what I mean is like, well, if you're going to get lost in the entendres, that's like getting lost in that Kendrick, in that Eminem technical proficiency of doing things. And it's like, no, fam, where the record's at?
He does it in a way where it doesn't feel intentional, or it doesn't feel meant to.
The phase it doesn't feel meant to catch you. Either.
Huh?
The phase I'm on, love, I wouldn't believe it either. No, that's intentional. He's trying.
Oh, no. The current entendre sound very intentional. I'm talking about him and his prime.
Prime him. Yes,
yeah.
Prime him is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So this is what it's like. It's like putting hashtags together in a sentence so that you can hit the algorithm properly, but it has to flow a certain type of way. Well, he used to flow in a manner that you never knew that he was hashtagging to hit the algorithm, and now you know. Yeah.
Like the Jackie Robinson lines from Brooklyn We Go Hard, like shit was crazy.
Yes. I was actually thinking the la 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 lines.
Or even when he was like the running back lines from Dirt Off Your Shoulder. Like,
yes, that's what
crazy.
I mean. But doesn't it seem more effortless and part of the process of him really scheming together a great song than him trying to say? Because
no one ever mentions those. You know what I mean? Like, if you hear it, you hear it. But no one ever mentions that. Like, yo, you heard what he said on Dirt Off Your Shoulders?
Right. Like on Drug Dealers Anonymous, I love it. But it's like I can hear how he digs into the verse and tries harder and harder. And that's why I like pushes verse more. It's like, oh, no, he got to get some wind or some steam now to do like.
You talking about Drug Dealers Anonymous, or you talking about the current?
I'm talking about Drug Dealers Anonymous. Like him on Drug Dealers Anonymous, it's like the way he comes in. It's like, oh no, it's like, oh, you got to build up steam.
Yeah.
You know.
The Raising Head with the super chat says Jay is 53 and Rakim is 54 years old. Let that sink in. Y'all exposed.
They're a year apart, but one guy showed up in about 86, one guy showed up in about 96.
And you know what? And let's just be 100%. And I think that's
where I'm saying he's 10 years ahead of the curve. He's 10 years ahead of Jay.
And if Jay showed up in 87 and 86, he wouldn't have sounded like that guy did in 86. So, I mean, that's fair. That's the most spellbinding, astonishing thing to me, to think about how far ahead of niggas that Rakim was in 86 and 87.
Okay,
this shit is insane, man.
So people have to understand this. People think that like Rakim and KRS-One and Cool G Rap are like 65 or some shit. Like, they're not.
KRS was the oldest. Like, he was a good amount older.
He's only like 2 years older than these guys. He's like 56, Mike.
Yeah. Rakim was
So
like what, 18 when they paid him full?
17. He was about to go
Jeez,
play quarterback.
that's insane, man.
So this is what people have to understand. So look at it like this. When Nas is doing Live at the Barbecue in 91, which is around the time Let the Rhythm Hit Him is coming out, Nas is like 15 going on 16. Okay?
Kids.
Rakim's 20 going on 21, Mike. You feel what I'm saying? Jay is already, like you said, 20. Like, that's why he's talking the way he's talking, thinking about, damn, I'm going to be a failure surrounded by drugs, thugs, and drug paraphernalia. I told you, Pac, Big, and Nas are all younger than Jay. So when he is watching them blow up, he is feeling like he has missed his class twice because he is closer to Rakim and KRS and Cool G Rap's age, actually.
And when you're in your mid-20s or early to mid-20s, you feel that shit. Like, you're looking at everybody around you like, oh, that person's doing that. Or this person did this by this time or whatever. I think that's the point in your life where you're comparing the most. So I can only imagine.
I don't think we ever stop comparing. I think that's when we compare the most because we care the most about it.
Yeah, because you feel like you said, you could miss that boat, especially in a rap game where everybody is so young. You know what I mean? And when you're getting older and you're already the age or slightly younger than somebody like Kane or Rakim, who's already a legend, you feel like, fuck.
Right. So imagine this. You're somebody like Jay, and you love to rhyme. And think about this. It's 1990.
All the rappers are getting younger and younger.
No. You're literally still trying to find your way. The rappers in your age group are already legends, as in Cool G Rap, KRS-One, Rakim, Chuck D. All these rappers, well, Chuck D's older than all these guys.
Oh, yeah, he's older than all of them.
But Ice Cube, like these guys are like literally legends, and nobody even knows who he is yet. He's closer to their age.
Right.
And so his competitive nature is from watching somebody like Nas at 19, 20 years old release Illmatic. He's 25.
Well,
let's put
it in context. He's not 25 and 94.
Yes, he is, because he's 27 and 96 when Reasonable Doubt came out, Mike.
Hold on. No.
Yes, he is 25
Jay
and
was
94.
born in 69. Yeah, he is 25.
69 to 94 is 25.
Yeah, you're right.
He's 25 when Nas is 19 going on 20 coming out with Illmatic. Yeah. How do you think competitively he feels about how his MC career is going?
Yeah, that's fair. Jay Short with the super chat says, define longevity, good music or any music, because Jay ain't putting out any good music since Blueprint 3, 09. Is 1996 to 09 longevity? It's only 14 years.
Oh, people forget this too, and this is what I mean about Puff putting stuff together. Puff got Rakim and Cool G Rap on G-Dep's album. What do you think he would have done for Kiss?
Puff hears that stuff, man. Again, we don't give Puff enough credit as a producer. We tend to give Dr. Dre all the credit in the world when it comes to arranging and producing. But him and Puff are very similar in their processes. You know what I mean?
It's very clear to me, Mike, that if Wu-Tang Clan doesn't exist, Puff has like a type of domination that is like unheralded and never seen. It literally, like Liquid Swords and the Purple Tape and Into the Wu-Tang, like that Wu-Tang shit, when I look at it and then I look at what Puff is doing, I'm like, oh, I gotta be here to balance this shit out because he's taking over.
It's 2023, so I would, I kind of want to manifest things, right? I would love to interview Puff and ask him, what would he have done with Jadakiss' debut album? On a music, again, a lot of people talk to people like Puff about all kind of shit that ain't got nothing to do with music. I want to have a music conversation with Puff because Puff knows his shit. He's proven. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of the great producers of this genre, and we don't really treat him like that for whatever reason. But I would like to know, knowing everything that he knows about Jada at that time, how the album actually came out, what people say about Jada in that light, hearing the rough version of Jada and everything, I would like to know how would he have approached Jadakiss' debut album. So, Puff, if you out there, holler at us. I want to know that question.
And I think people forget this too. Look at what's going on with Big. You know, Big's passing is so big, even for the running of Bad Boy. Who's to say that the Lock's first album comes off like that?
It doesn't.
And Big doesn't pass. That's
No,
what I'm
it doesn't.
saying.
That I
So
think
between
that
Big passing and then DMX,
yeah,
those are seismic shifts for a group like them. They are casualties of war of Big's passing and DMX's comeuppance.
you're right. DFW Herbie with the super chat says, "Kiss the Game Goodbye" is a classic. Show Discipline is a classic in NYC. Okay.
I like Show Discipline. I think Show Discipline is a borderline classic.
Dominicano with the super chat says, "Coop, Pun versus Kendrick lyrically. I got Pun all day."
Pun.
He said he got Pun all day too.
Kendrick don't have no dream shatterer or no super lyrical. He don't.
Jay Short with the super chat says,
"Do you think Kendrick can fade Thought on a back and forth on a record the way Pun did? I watched Pun fade Black Thought on a record, and that's prime Black Thought. That's 1998.
Jay Short with the super chat says, "Top 10 West Coast MCs: Pop, Cube, Snoop, Kendrick, Game, Quick, Exhibit, Corrupt, Short, 40, Honorable Mention, Roz Cos, and DOC."
Like Roz Cos.
Did he say, yeah, I got Exhibit in there. I love Exhibit, man. I think Exhibit's very underrated.
I think he's rated.
You think so?
Yes.
I wonder if people like Exhibit will end up on this Billboard list because I think he's one of the 50 best MCs ever.
I don't agree.
Really? I disagree.
No. I can give you 50 MCs better than Exhibit.
36 Chambers of the super chat says, "Jay Short's list is immaculate for the West Coast, for West out here." Yeah. So do y'all think that Exhibit's top 50 all time? You don't think Exhibit's top 50?
Hold on. Think about this, Mike. If Jay is 25 in 94, think about this. Rakim is 26, and Rakim has been gone for 2.5 years, and people think it's over for him at 26. Jay's 25 and Illmatic and Ready to Die are coming out, and he hasn't even started yet. Think about that.
And
Rakim's had a whole career. Rakim has had a whole career and a whole break. He's had a whole 2.5 year hiatus and a whole career. It's only a year separating him and Jay. Tell me he's not feeling that.
I got to give Jay credit for having the career that he's had under all of that direct. Like, you know, that's amazing. Because a lot of people.
That's where the competitive fire comes from, Mike. Yeah. That's where the competitiveness comes from.
And DMX too. You know what I'm saying? Because DMX is in a similar boat.
No, DMX is literally 28 in 98 when It's Dark and Hell is Hot is coming out. He's in the same boat Jay is in.
Yep. Juanito Garcia with the super chat says, "Jay-Z's You Must Love Me was a story that was fire."
Yes, I'm with You Must Love Me. That's the one I forgot. I like You Must Love Me more than Meet the Parents, personally.
I'm with that. Charles with the super chat, you know, giving that $5. Thanks for the contribution out here, man. I love these discourses and these conversations, and these are conversations that all of these folks that put these lists together, they're not having with the people. We need the people in these conversations. The people are the culture. You know what I mean?
You need contributions. You want to know what? It's just like, you know what I feel like when we pull up here sometimes and we talk to people and have conversations like this? I feel like I'm in the studio again. We're all bouncing our verses and our ideas off each other, trying to come up with a great song.
Mm-hmm. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, "You backstabbers gonna turn me back to the old Jay-Z. Hove. Fuck's competitor with Jay Electronica. Yeah, Fuck's capacitor. I'm tripping. With Jay Electronica. People don't even notice the triple entendres. The old Jay-Z, the OJs, backstabbers, song OJ Simpson."
See, that's one of those word salad songs where the words are better than the song, though. He didn't used to do that.
Charles with the super chat says,
he just used to deliver the record, so I keep one eye open like CBS. You see me stressed, right?
Nah, he was killing it with that.
Can I live? Like, you can kill it like that without all the entendres. This way, no fraud, Willie's pressing, gambling, they re-up. If we can have a pleasant time sipping margaritas, chill. That's okay.
I like the back. I'm not gonna front. I like the backstabbers OJ thing too. I
like it, but the record's not there. The record gotta be there. Like, part of why The Evils is so cold is because lyrically he's there, but the song is there, Mike. Like, he's lyrically there, but the song is there.
Charles with the
Shit is
super
wicked
chat.
on these mean streets. None of my friends speak. We all trying to win, but then again, maybe it's for the best though. Because when they knowing too much, they trying to get you touched. Whoever say illegal wasn't the easy way out, couldn't understand the mechanics and the workings of the underworld. Granted, 9 to 5 ain't how to survive. I ain't trying to survive. I'm trying to live it to the limit and love it alive. Life ills poison my body. I used to say, fuck Mike's skills. I never prayed to God. I prayed to God. You don't need no entendres like that when you just fucking great. Where's the entendres at in there?
Charles with the super chat says,
very simple.
Pac was great with his entendres, very much slept on. Look at Hail Mary. The first verse was like a football scheme with a touch of religion thrown in there. Okay. DFW Herbie with the super chat says, we can't ignore that Puff put motherfuckers in terrible deals. Most of the dudes he signs are dead, in jail, or strung out. Well, this is what I'm gonna say.
Shout out to Albie Shore. And
I'm not defending Puff or anybody putting anybody in terrible deals. But tell me a new artist, especially in hip hop, that gets put in a great deal that already didn't go out there and broker their deal ahead of time. Because a lot of the guys that we got from Bad Boy, we had never heard of them. I mean, I don't know about you. I had never heard of Mace. I had never heard
of Mac.
Yeah.
Or Big.
Yeah. I mean, so there takes a lot of work into actually building a superstar, making a superstar, and you're going to get taxed for that. And especially when, and I'm just being real here. Like you said, it was like they joined the 96 Bulls. Jordan put those guys like Steve Kerr, Judge Bushell, the new guys who weren't around for his first 3 run, he put them through hell. Because you know what? You're just jumping on something that's already moving, and you're going to have to pay for that. You're not going to get the best deal. You're not going to get the best deal if I go out there right now. I know I'm 40 years old. Let's say I'm not, right? And I go sign the OVO and Drake can make me a star tomorrow. How great of a deal you think I'm going to get?
You're not going to get a great
deal. You
got
to pay that tax.
Well, here's what I would submit to you. What we're having a conversation about what Puff would be music-wise in your life. We're not having a business conversation about Puff. If you want to have a conversation about Puff business-wise, that is a different conversation. We all know how that conversation goes, really, though. Don't we all know really how that conversation goes?
Wait a minute. Did somebody say Lil Wayne got a good deal?
He got some. First of all, that is terrible that you
said
that.
that.
All I'm saying is that Puffy has Tommy Mottola syndrome. Okay, so look at what Tommy Mottola and Clive Davis do. They're artists. And
I mean,
Sylvia Rhone,
these are all
he learned from Sylvia Rhone and Tommy Mottola and Clive Davis. It's like, what are you expecting?
These are all the same contracts, Coop. I mean, from what I understand,
all the same blackballing and fuckery going on business-wise too. We know how these games get. These are the games we play. These are the names they say.
Well, this is the thing, Coop. I mean, I know people who were around during that time and were working in the industry during that time. Those contracts that Bad Boy got were just standard contracts from Arista with Bad Boy's name on it. So it wasn't like, I mean, I know people want to go out there and make it, sound like what it is, but it wasn't like Puff got these contracts and put some extras on it. These are standard contracts that may have been outdated from previous eras.
No, see what people understand is that, if I'm not mistaken, Bad Boy got like a $20 million distribution deal from Arista. Correct?
I don't know that number. I can't confirm, but it sounds about right.
Now you take what he is spending to put together Craig Mack and Biggie's projects, okay?
And promote it, and and get it everywhere.
And marketing and radio. And now some other stuff is going on. First of all, Nas is letting you know on Last Real Nigga Alive, Puff is riding around in the range. All right? He's letting you know on KD3 that Puff is the first nigga riding around in the Bentley too. You feel what I'm saying? In the city. So Puff out here throwing a little bread around, and I'm going to tell you what, a lot of people look at Puff a certain type of way. I'm going to tell you what a very, very smart businessman told me early last year. And literally, he's a consultant. And he said, Coop, He said, I bought a $90,000 Porsche. He said, you know why I bought a $90,000 Porsche? He said, that's my consulting. He said, when I pull up to the country club, when I pull up to the golf course in this rare car, he's like, no, people want to know who I am and what I'm doing. He's like, now I can go online. Listen, I can go online and I can hire somebody. I can go spend $5,000 online enough to do all this marketing and promotions about my firm. He's like, I can go spend another $5,000 and hire somebody to do all this. He's like, or I can buy this car and go to the places that I need to go.
Yep.
Make things happen for me. And nobody in hip hop epitomizes what that gentleman who owns his own consult business. He started off owning fitness shops in San Diego, and he's here in Atlanta now, but he does consulting. But he's like, the consulting piece is the Porsche with the drop top when I pull up, because people want to know how this 35-year-old short white guy ended up in this car so soon, and that's where my conversation starts, Coop.
And you know what?
That's
and
tough.
you have
That's
to people have to also understand at that time where the DJs and hip hop radio and all of that were at. This man pull up like that and pull up on you on your block or whatever. Like, man, fuck that. I'm trying to get down with this nigga. I'll play the record. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Right. But if he came up on some
Last Real Nigga Live,
yeah.
Puff took me through Queensbridge projects. He let me drive it before Ready to Die hit. He's letting you know, no. That was a thing when Puff pulled up,
and that's a memorable moment
with the Range Rover. That's a thing. That's what I'm saying. And so
imagine how many DJs in the city got that kind of story that helped get that bad boy buzz going.
Because you have to understand, there are people like LL Cool J that are riding around the same time in a Camry, and Busta Rhymes like in a Ford Explorer, and Puff's pulling up Queensbridge in a Range. It's different what he's doing. He's selling the whole image of what he's bringing to the table, and nobody sells it better. You are going to pay for that on a few levels.
Yep.
But here's the reality of the matter. The person who bought in the most only made 2 albums and is still considered to be a top 10 all-time MC.
His system worked.
Not fucking accidental. Whatever you may feel about the system, Mike, I know people personally who have been in the system that have had problems with the system, but the system does work. Now, you may not like some of the business. You may not like some of the politics. You may not even like some of the things you have to do, people you have to deal with. I can tell you all types of stories that I'll never say live up on air. But as far as how that shit produce itself, look at who's on the wall and look at the evidence. That's all the evidence you need. The motherfucker on the wall is the evidence that the shit work.
And the guy who put that system together is still here and still functioning at a high level.
The system very much works. And if by some chance you get blessed with an all-time great talent, once again, look on the wall. And Jadakiss may not be the guy on the wall, but oh shit, he is an all-time great talent. Oh no. I'm not saying he would have made Ready to Die or Life After Death, but he would have made a classic or two.
Y'all wouldn't be
gonna see to that. He's not gonna let Jadakiss not make a classic or two.
Yeah, y'all wouldn't be able to say the things that you're saying about him now if he
like he would have gave Jadakiss an All About the Benjamins or a One More Chance type of record. You get what I'm saying? He's like, no.
And I think Jada could have easily pulled off a One More Chance. With the right tutor.
One More Chance. He definitely could have pulled off a Warning.
Oh yeah, that too. You know what? I think he could have pulled off.
Talk on Hypnotize. I see him pulling off more of a Hypnotize than a One More Chance.
What about Effing You Tonight with R. Kelly?
Like, how about this? Like all things being considered, go play I Love the Dough.
Yep.
You feel what I'm saying? No. Kiss could have done I Love the Dough.
I think he could have did Effing You Tonight too. Yeah.
He did All About the Benjamins. He couldn't do More Money, More Problems.
Yeah, definitely.
JADAKISS. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, no. He could have done the record.
Jay Short with the super chat says, Puffy gets a bad rap for his artists falling. Where is Young Chris, State Property, Young Buck, Kid, BG, and Turk? But people target Diddy. 50 said something that I thought was amazing on this. He said a lot of amazing stuff in this Big Boy interview. But when he said that, he was just talking about the importance of managing people. I thought that, that's something that we don't talk about enough in hip hop. And when you talk about, the people who are artists that have quote unquote fell off and this and that, A lot of these guys are so young, they're trying to get their careers going. They got to worry about their career and deal with their careers. They're inexperienced in having to manage people and deal with people. And that's kind of how it happens because no one goes into these situations where it's like, okay, boom, here's your budget. It's go time. You got a label now. Operate. You're not going to go out there and do this thing flawlessly. You're really not set up to succeed either.
Nobody in the music business is set up to succeed, Mike.
No, it's true. But especially the guys who, get put down as label heads and then they have a whole bunch of, artists from the block under them and people expect these guys to be the stars that the main guy is.
See, this is what I mean. Like, Jadakiss could have actually had a more special career because there could have been the Free the Locks campaign and the Locks would have gotten out of that quicker and sooner and business would have gotten back to more normal if the caveat would have been the Locks are leaving. Kiss is staying for the solo projects. You know what Puff gonna do? Instead of giving me $3 million, DNY, give me $1 and we cool. And I'm gonna take Kiss and do his solo shit. And now I'm okay because this nigga Mace is tripping and Big is gone. And the nigga Rob likes to rob niggas. So
Jada would have had all of Puff's attention and focus too.
Correct. Around that time.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, and I know this for certain. I know this for a fact. Do you know that the saga continues? Happened because Rob and Curry and them niggas pulled up on Puff in Miami when he was going through the J-Lo breakup. Nigga, we still popping in the street. Let's go.
Yeah.
Imagine Kiss in that environment. Imagine Kiss being the front man on Even the Saga Continues. Let's get it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Those
records. Right.
Imagine
Kiss being the front man. Imagine Kiss pulling up down in Miami with Rob and Kurt. That's what I'm saying, because that's what it would have been had he stayed. He would have been, the way Rob is closing out, let's get it. No, Rob, you're starting out, let's get it. Kiss is finishing, let's get it.
Yeah.
Death, you're in the middle. Bad Boy for Life.
Yeah.
Somebody's jumping out because Kiss is jumping in and getting somebody's verse. Now, I know Curry personally. Curry's the first person to co-sign me. About Kiss, Curry might lose the first verse because he's like, no, we're going to bring Kiss on this to set this song off right, Curry. You take the second verse, Rob, you take the third verse.
Jay Short with the Super Chat says, most of the artists had one hit or one album. You ain't getting Puff money off of Harlem World or Whoa. You ain't getting paid like the boss because he's assuming all of the liabilities. That's business, and that is true. Because at the end of the day, he's putting up all the risks. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I know it sounds whatever, but yeah, if he's putting up all the risk and the liability.
No, but imagine this. You would have had Puff in tow, but you still would have been able to go over to the Locks and do all your D-Block and your street tapes and all the mixtapes and all the street shit. All that shit he still could have done and then still had the Bad Boy thing. And you want to know who did that very, very well? And it was very, very lucrative and worked for him while he was here? Biggie.
Yeah, it did work.
Biggie got all the, people acting like that's not Puff screaming on Who Shot You. People act like Puff don't like street records. No, that's Puff screaming on my downfall. That's Puff talking at the beginning of You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You.
Well, also Biggie was able to go out there and do his Junior Mafia thing and, and kind of have those separate entities. And
there was no Puff involved and the records were still great.
Yeah. Juanito Garcia with the Super Chat says, Puff's system works for sure, but the artists don't really get to enjoy the fruit that comes with the system that's working.
That's bullshit.
But this is what I'm going to say. This is what I'm going to say. Before you say
no time with Lil' Kim. He did no time.
Before you say, this is what I'm going to say. Did the artist give it time to be able to, receive the fruits of their labor? Because nobody stayed past one album, seems like. Because if we look at TLC and look at Outkast too, Outkast was talking about financially just basically making it until their third album. TLC talked about their issues, even filed, the bankruptcy or whatever on the second album, and they didn't really get the fruits of their labor to the third album. We could say the same thing about Tribe. I know Q-Tip was saying he was still staying with his mom after they dropped their debut album, and they got the fruits of their labor around their second, third time around. Did anybody really stay outside of Biggie? Did anybody really stay with Bad Boy long enough to get the fruits of their labor?
No, the contracts aren't good. Okay.
None of the
First of
contracts
all,
are good.
Hold on, no. I do not enjoy Puff as a businessman. I'm not. The contracts are not good. The business is not good. When we are having this conversation about Puff, that's very much why I brought up Tommy Mottola and Clive Davis. Well, it is funny. The black people who got raped by them do not excoriate those men that way. And so we're not about to pull up and excoriate a black man that way for adopting the same practices that white men have adopted, who we do not excoriate. We're not about to sit up there and hold these double standards. The business practices in the music business, Mike, are all fucked up, and we know it.
And it's
Niggas
not just
don't be
one
getting
person,
money
right?
like they should. It's been going on since Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Nina Simone, Stevie Wonder. Prince wrote slave on his face and changed his name to a symbol. Hello, message. He made Purple Rain and he wrote slave on his face 7 years later. Hello.
Charles in the super chat says.
So the business ain't fair to nobody. So to make it seem like Puff is the Grim Reaper and he's not just one of many in this cloak with a reap, like to make it seem like he's the only one with the cloak and a reap. You get what I'm saying?
No, you're right.
And for what Jada Kiss's career has not been, and for all the people he has still done business with, and for when I see shit like, I don't know, BMF with Styles P and Rick Ross, which I know Puff helped put together, and Styles even said, no, Puff's the one that made that call. Wow. And so Ross, he needed somebody like me on the record.
I never knew that.
Puff's the one responsible for getting Styles on BMF.
I never knew that. Wow.
Puff told Ross, you need somebody hard like Styles to finish this.
Wow, I never knew that.
Puff's a genius.
He is.
You're going to pay.
Yeah, you're going to pay for genius. You are.
These are the games that you play when you sign up to be an MC, unless you want to master P the game.
Yeah. Charles with the super chat says, I'm a ghost in these killing fields, Hail Mary. Catch me if I go. Let's go deep inside. Double entendre. Hail Mary. Yeah, Pac's going.
Catch it, please, Father. I'm a ghost in these killing fields.
Yeah, we're caught up on the super chats. Man, we almost 3 hours in, man. You about ready to get up out of here? I know we didn't get a chance to get to our list like that, but
no, we didn't get a chance to get to our list.
I know we kind of running out of time, but we had some really good conversations. I mean, I could put the list up on the screen real quick.
Well, I think our list, and this is what I mean, and I said this again, and I'm going to keep on saying it this year. You know, I want to get back to the core shit this year. Like, Mike, I think we're in a very, very fortunate position to be, for however people feel about us. I know a lot of people don't like me. I really don't give a shit. We're cultural movers and shakers at this point in terms of how we push things. And in hip hop's 50th year, I want to celebrate and cement. And that's why I wanted to start off with the 50 greatest MCs list. I don't know what Vibe and Billboard's, rationale or reasoning is, but for me, I wanted to start off the year, and for you, and if you're okay with it, I want this to be a year of the list making and the celebration and the cementing of hip hop and having these discourses in this conversation. And that's why I started off with the top 20 MCs list. First of all, I knew it was going to grow into 50 or 100 because I knew it was impossible to do 20 at this point in our 50-year genre. Think about it. Trying to pick 20 MCs in a 50-year genre.
Yeah.
No. Not fair, but to have the conversation to push the culture forward. And as we celebrate year number 50, let's submit some things with some top 50 lists, starting with the MC who is at the centerpiece. 50 of the 5 elements, 50 years in, the MC is still the centerpiece.
Yep. And
it has been for at least half the time since Rakim and KRS and Kane and G-Rap and Slick Rick and those and Chuck D made it so. And so obviously the most integral part of this culture is the MC, and the documentation and the celebration of it properly and appropriately and with the people involved is really what we're seeking out this year. I don't know what everybody else is doing. I just know that we're going to do it right and celebrate it and cement it with the help of the people. And that's what it's really about. If you're missing the celebration of it, if you're missing the people in it, then you're really not doing your culture shit properly. And for any issues that I've raised about the source, those were always the issues that I raised is that, well, they were our Bible and they never even represented the culture properly. And I don't care how Benzino or Dave Mays or anybody feel about it. Giving Doggy Style 4 mics is just telling me that you were biased and that you were not really for the culture. You cannot be for the culture and give Doggy Style 4 mics.
Well, they went back and changed that after the fact.
Ain't nobody trying to hear that shit. You were not for the culture. You were for East Coast hip hop.
Well, this is my thing. If they were going to go back and do that, I think that there needed to be some explanations to why that happened.
4.5 mics, and your reason for not giving it 5 is Little Ghetto Boy. You do not know you are not representing culture properly.
Yeah,
you're pretty much saying when they are talking about bitches and hoes, we love this album. When they have a message, we gonna have to dock them a point for a message.
Crazy.
Then they say it West Coast niggas can't rap and ain't lyrical and don't have stories or content.
Exactly.
It's like you can't have it both ways. We need to get this shit right.
You put them in a backward situation where it's like, okay, if they do more of the bitches and hoes shit, then you can say they're one dimensional. You know what I mean? When they go out there and try to be versatile, then you say, oh, okay, well, no, that's not fitting within that. It's it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't thing.
Right.
And
when
that
I read the
seems
Chronic
very
review,
biased.
Mike, I was like, we gonna do this shit right this time. Y'all docked the Chronic for 5 mics for Little Ghetto Boy. Do you know how East Coast biased you really, really are?
And I never knew that, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't remember.
Yeah, it said the only
review.
record that isn't any good is Little Ghetto Boy. The review literally says the problem with the album is Little Ghetto Boy.
And you know what? When I listen to the Chronic, I say that the shining moment on that album is Little Ghetto Boy because that's
the moment, Mike, where you're like, this is one of the best rap albums
exactly,
ever.
Because it gives you a lot more depth. And,
it gives you that round out feel that you need.
And you know what they did, Coop? Because they listened to that and they read that, I would imagine, because Doggy Style doesn't have a Little Ghetto Boy moment on it. It's just straight partying.
Straight.
So it's like they took that and really listened to it when I don't think they should have, even though Doggy Style is still flawless. And they still went and gave Doggy Style 4.
When Pac is when I hear 2 of America's Most Wanted and it goes ain't nothing but a gangster party, I'm like, oh no, Doggy Style's a gangster party.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Doggy Style's the gangster party of all rap albums.
The gangster party of all gangster parties.
This is a gangster party of all gangster parties. It's like, no. Do not tell me that shit is not 5 mics. That shit is 5 mics on a bad day.
Yeah.
It's 5 mics on a good day. On a purple people eater day. Like whatever day, green eggs and ham again, Mike. It's 5 mic album. So
well, it's interesting that they did. It's interesting they did the same thing to Wu-Tang too. And I think that's more of a 5 boroughs thing where it's like, Staten Island being the lonely borough out there. But I feel like if Wu-Tang was coming out of Brooklyn or Queens, that would have not happened.
No, I'm going to be honest with you. The best thing that ever happened to rap was Wu-Tang coming out of the forgotten borough because they're the ones that really MC-wise, like the moment the MC changed, like we talk about Rakim's MC moment, the next MC moment is Enter the Wu-Tang. And it's because the forgotten borough had been forgotten and those dudes took it, rhyme-wise, took it personally. And the only person that they invited in that circle the first few years is the guy we currently call the greatest MC of all time. Now, do you think that's accidental or coincidental? Because I don't.
No, it's not.
It's not. Even when RZA talks, he's like, the 94 to 96 Nas run. It's like, well, yeah, nigga, you was there. He was there. Yep. Y'all was all sharpening each other's sword.
I think that was probably the one MC that they heard that they were so impressed by. That was like, yo, this guy is better.
This guy's like us.
Yeah, like
he's like us.
Yeah,
he on some rap shit. Yeah, he on some rap shit when he rap though. Yeah,
he's the chosen.
That's why he makes sense. That's why it's like when you. How about this? When you hear Nas on Verbal Intercourse, are you surprised?
No.
Right.
Jay
You're not surprised. None of us are surprised. But it's like when it says featuring Nas on there when you see it for the first time, you're like, you've already listened to like Into the Wu-Tang, to Cal, you've already heard Glacier's Ice. You're like, no, it's about right.
Yeah. Jay Short with Super Chat, and we'll get up out of here. He says, Coop, can you find me a better West Coast lyricist from 96 to 2000? Better than Exhibit. 40 Days and 40 Nights is like the West Coast Redman album. He stole the show on Be Please. And what's the difference, too? Yes, he did. And I'm a big fan of
I think Ross is better around that time lyrically.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you. And I love Ross Cox. But I think the only person on a lyricist level that I probably am more entertained by is Corrupt. And I think Corrupt's versatility is highly underrated because We Can Freak is a dope ass song.
You want to know what I actually thought about the other day? First of all, Corrupt's better than Exhibit and Rascast. So, matter of fact, lyrically, if we're talking about lyrically, if Corrupt's, hold on, when did Streets of the Mother come out?
That was 99, like right.
Corrupt. You said 96 to 2000?
Yep.
Corrupt. When is Dog Food? 95?
Dog Food's 95, yeah.
I feel like it carried into 96. So Corrupt's better than all those guys. You want to know what I realized? And we can go out of here on this. I've been listening to just some older stuff, obviously, my Mobb Deep. And so I've been going through a lot of Death Row stuff, man. Death Row catalog, so stupid. Daz and Havoc, Mike.
Yep.
These guys are making beats, but they're rapping next to Corrupt and Prodigy. Yep. And in Daz's case, rapping next to Corrupt and Snoop.
Mm-hmm.
And in Havoc's case, rapping next to Prodigy, and oftentimes guys like Nas, Method Man, Raekwon, Ghost, Noid is Nice. Do you know how dope these guys actually are if they're not rapping next to the greatest MCs of all time that they're making beats for?
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And I'll tell you something else I realized too. I think Havoc's done more beats for Nas than anybody except for Hit Boy and Primo. Right.
Has he not done more than Primo?
Because if you think about, like, when I'm saying about, like, if you go like the Nas shit, the shit Nas is rapped over, it's like, I think maybe Salah Remy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Salah. It's like it might go Hit Boy, Salah Remy, Premier, but then it goes Havoc. Because think about all the mob shit Nas has been on, and think about all the Havoc shit. Right. So he got
both of them are highly.
He's on about 10 records where Havoc's done the beat, is what I'm saying.
I think both of them are highly underrated on both sides of the board. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I was telling you, even when we were doing our verses, I think Havoc's a dope MC. I've always thought Daz was dope.
I was listening to Daz on D's Nuts, and I'm like, if he's not rapping next to Corrupt, and he's not rapping next to Snoop, I was like, he's about to have an awesome rap career. Like, I know what the production career looks like for these guys. If they're not rapping next to these guys, their raps. Like, I was listening to Trife Life 2 the other day on Hell on Earth, and I'm like, man, this nigga rapping his ass off.
Yeah. Hassan Sachs in the super chat says, Wu accepted Redman into the feature group too. Yeah. Redman, first of all, Redman. That was a little later on.
Redman and Nas are the only guys to really enter the chamber, first of all. Think about what that's saying.
But Nas entered early. Like, Redman kind of entered once, you know. Him and Method Man kind of start hitting stride.
Redman's interest was kind of Supreme Clientele-ish.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not Wu-Tang Prime stuff.
Yeah.
Nas is on the Purple Tape. That's getting recorded in 90. That's getting recorded Illmatic. It Was Written, Liquid Swords, Purple Tape, Return to the 36 Chambers time. Like, they're all making classic, the infamous.
Yep.
All these sessions, like, all this stuff's going around the same time. They're in sessions together.
Man, great show today, man. And we just hit, like, the top points of this list. I think we'll talk more about our list on Wednesday, and we'll talk more about the Skyzoo album. But
that's perfect. I think we should round out. I think we should maybe get our top 25 rounded out appropriately on Wednesday and talk Skyzoo.
Okay.
And then we can move to the next 25. I have Eminem currently placed at 30. What say you to that before we go?
Man, I think that, I mean, we got to talk about that. I mean, I think that he's definitely a top 30, you know what I'm saying? But I don't want to shortchange him on any, you know, bias on my end as far as like my personal taste. We got to really start matching up his records to the other people that are on the list, you know what I'm saying? And kind of start, you know, doing what we do with everybody else and just go record to record, flow to flow, quotable for quotable, and those things, and really get into it.
Quick story, because I saw somebody put up Crooked Eye. So I used to have a homie when I was out in Cali from LA named Short. Short's from Crooked Eye's hood. Right before I was leaving, I was working on a project. I was trying to get like a link into Crooked Eye. Like, and Crooked Eye used to be out there like that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, my man Short would come see me and pull up on me and take care of business stuff. Short was a businessman. You know what I'm saying? But Short knew Crooked Eye and stuff. And this is Mike, this is early 2000s. Like, Crook had a name as an MC You know what I'm saying? Like on a lyrical and MC level back then, like just in the streets, like ain't nobody fucking with the nigga Crook out here, like on some rap shit though. It was him and Corrupt when I was in Cali. As
First
far
time
as
I
like
heard
the
him was
niggas
on
who could
Corrupt's
spit,
album with
like when
Exhibit.
I be like when niggas would hear me spit, they be like, oh no, I like you one of them corrupt crooked eye rapping ass niggas. That's how West Coast niggas is saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you one of them crooked eye corrupt niggas, you be using words and shit.
Yep. Hassan Sype says, would you consider Redman with Wu in '95 with How High? I mean, he got with Method Man. That wasn't with,
I call that a Death Squad Wu-Tang collaboration.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, first time I heard Crooked Eye was on Corrupt Streets as a Mother. The record the Dads produced, I believe, with Exhibit, Corrupt, and Crooked Eye. And then I heard him on the Wake Up Show or whatever. But he was like, this is the Automan Slaughter. When I'm rocking, I'm more shocking and dropping the boombox and bathwater. I was like, yeah,
no, he was like that. This like '05, like just his name like out there. They'd be like, oh no, you can rap, but you ain't better than my nigga Crook. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how Cali niggas are when they loyal to. Like they hear a nigga that's not from there that can rap, they be like, oh yeah, you dope nigga, you not better than that nigga Crook though.
Shout out to Crooked Eye. All right, well, happy Friday to everybody. Y'all have a great weekend. We're gonna holler at y'all on next week.